Pressed it. Okay.
I pressed one of them. I forgot there were two. So it says we are live. 7 seconds, 8 seconds, 9 seconds, 10 seconds. Good evening. Yo. Oh, yeah. Sometimes you feel like a nut.
What are you doing?
Stop
clapping.
Why? I'm singing a song. Almond joys got nuts. Mounds don't.
Oh, Lord.
Do you don't remember that?
Oh, I remember it. Well, why is he doing it on the podcast?
I was making a sort of musical commentary on my mood swings today.
Okay.
So yeah.
Speaking of music,
we're here. We've got music. I think we're going to start the show right now and see what happens.
Nope.
No?
I'm not hearing anything.
I thought I had it all set up. I could see, that's the thing. Like, I could hear it and I could see it going in loop back.
There we go.
All right, here we are.
I had to save things again.
Here we are. Yeah. Here we are once again, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Tuesday. It is slightly after 7 p.m. on the Central Standard Time, and that means it's the Painfully Honest Tech Podcast live show right here, right now. If you are listening to this on a podcast, then you are missing all the joy, the excitement, the happy faces that occur here on the podcast. Fun things that we do. You should join us live on the YouTube Painfully Honest Tech channel. 8 p.m. 8 p.m. on the Tuesdays. That is the Eastern Standard Time. 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, 5 p.m. Western Time. What is that called? Pacific. Yeah.
There you go.
Woo! Okay, now we got all the time zones are represented. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we are going to talk about absolutely nothing, but yet also everything. So please stay in your seats. Do not move about the cabin. The flight is about to begin. If you'll turn your attention to our flight attendants at the front, Mr. Viper and Mr. Zach, they will direct you to the emergency exits should there be a reason to jump the hell out of the plane.
I'm just going to tell you to run, motherfucker.
There we have Zach. Zach is he's grumpy Zach tonight.
That's a fair statement.
Yeah. Which could be fun. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
And of course we got, as always, the man about tech, the captain of Team Apple, Mr. Viper is here, always with a smile on his face, always with something fun to say. So what do you have to say for yourself tonight, Mr. Viper?
We got some Apple discussion to talk about tonight, baby. I'll tell you that much. Ooh, I don't know.
Do we?
So the one company that doesn't like show up at CES
dominate
CES has all the attention. They've done this in the past.
They did it last year too.
Yep.
They've put up billboards in the past, like physically at CES, saying privacy and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, that's always good.
What was it this year? Security.
Yep.
It's like you have to. It would be great to be in the position as like one of these companies that control, in one fell swoop, troll the entire rest of the industry.
I'm wondering if they hire a team just to say, okay, you are going to troll CES. You have a year to get things together.
Oh, of course.
They have advertising agencies, marketers, et cetera,
I mean,
on retainer, bro.
It's a digital thing this year, and they're still
they don't care.
away with it.
So, Jason, before we get into tonight's podcast, obviously you have sponsors, but then you have sponsors.
We have sponsors.
You mean like Viper, the man about tech, with the super chat?
What? That's one of them.
Thank you, sir. And then we have over here our good friend Hugo with the fire and a $5 Canadian super chat. Thank you both ever so much. Ooh.
You know what? None of my Stream Deck sounds work because I deleted the folder that all had all the sounds. I don't even have Matthew here tonight.
Oh, no.
I don't even have
All
him.
right.
I don't.
Oh well, that's okay. Viper has sounds.
Oh, I got now. What I got? What I got?
What the Rock is cooking.
Those are the best days. Those are the best days of wrestling. I'm
yeah.
like nothing has been better than that.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of partial to the Ric Flair era.
Like the 80s?
You know, the mid 80s. Yeah.
Yeah, we all grew up with that. Okay,
Yeah.
That's a second.
Yeah. I mean, because that was when they were still cutting themselves in the head with razor blades.
So Andrew,
know about that, right?
Andrew is dropping dimes in the chat. He says Apple always has had a presence at CES. They just don't do it publicly. How does that work exactly, Andrew?
Like, how does that work? When you just say the word
See,
Apple, and
no,
that shows up in chat.
they bring like 3 people to talk to Andrew. Andrew's always in the know. It's like, okay, all these other people are here, but we got to get to Andrew. I'm sure they talked to Justine. Oh man, speaking of Justine, I saw a screen cap of Justine at her little like anchor station, for the CES thing.
Yeah.
They're making her use a Windows laptop.
Yeah, I think it's a Microsoft Studio. Yeah,
she's a host. That's all. I think it's pretty cool that she's a host.
Yeah.
It's cool that she's a host, but I mean,
it's
a little off-brand.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Microsoft is sponsoring or Microsoft paying her, so that's Microsoft setup.
See, that's something that we're gonna have to stick in the backpack to talk about a little bit later.
I'm surprised I have not seen Andrew ever do anything this year. I figured he would be involved in something, and maybe he is. But Andrew, where are you at? I'm missing your CES presence there. Where are you?
See, look at this. Look at this. This is how Andrew says, "You guys just don't have it." That's why I know.
Okay, I got you. That makes sense. Okay. I mean, yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, you talk about the biggest tech conference in the world, so of course Apple would be there in some capacity. But
no, it's. I mean, I know Zach was there last year as well. Just from the 1 year that I've gone, that CES is a vast sea, almost like an entire planet worth of stuff going on of which you only know a little bit. So, yeah, because I mean, I nearly killed.
There's a lot of different.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say there's so many different elements of CES. It's more than just the latest and greatest, which I think less than 10% makes it a market within so many years, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But like we've talked about this before, the real power in CES, and this year, this is why I'm feeling almost like, I mean, it's cool to go on and click around and watch the different things, everything, and which I've been doing, and I've gone to a couple virtual rooms here and there, but the real power is the face-to-face interaction. And I've had a couple, like literally 2 face-to-face, like on a webcam, like on my, right here, meeting with people. But there's I mean, as we all know, because we've all been at home for the most part, real face-to-face, person-to-person interaction, that's huge, right?
See,
so,
I prefer, this distance.
And we will get into face-to-face or sort of face-to-face interaction later on in the podcast. But Jason,
yes,
I want to talk to you first. Let's begin the podcast about your disdain for CES. Why are you so grumpy about CES this year? Oh, he's back! He's back! You can't hold that down.
That's for the super chat earlier.
So let's be fair, and I have to temper my comments here because I don't want anybody to get mad because everybody does their business differently. Everybody's thing is different than everybody else's. But for me, I struggled last year with CES. Like I went to CES and I could not figure out what to make a video about because none of the products actually existed. I didn't really want to do a promo video for companies. I wasn't there on anybody else's dime. And so I just went and the whole week I didn't make any videos. Okay. And so this week with CES going on and being at home and knowing nobody else is there, so I don't have FOMO, right? It's helped me to kind of think about why it is that I feel uncomfortable with that kind of an event and what I feel like is the thing that you do for that kind of event. And Zach is really good at business and talking to people, making connections, stuff like that. Andrew is obviously very good at doing that kind of thing as well. I am not good at that. I don't feel comfortable with it, and I never really have. And it's like maybe it's sort of the punk rock, indie rock, street rat kid that I was in junior high and high school, but I don't like feeling like I'm part of the machine. And so I kind of it's rubbed me the wrong way, and I haven't really been able to figure out why, but I think that's part of it.
I have an idea. Zach, is any of this related to why you were feeling the way that you were feeling before the podcast? Because it sounds awfully familiar to each other.
It's similar. Yeah, it's very similar.
Elaborate on that.
Yeah. It's very similar.
Me and him. Who's elaborating?
Him. He says similar. I want to know how.
It's your thing. You keep on going.
Oh, come on now. We all share. We all share here. This is the sharing zone.
I'll just okay. So, last week I got press kit information from a brand, and included information on something they presented yesterday, and including information and spec sheets and
right.
B-roll stuff and whatever. And okay, cool, right? So I thought, okay, I've covered this stuff in the past. I'll use what I have here because I'm not physically there, obviously. And these are not and while they had concept stuff, or no, I want to say concept stuff. While they had really wild stuff that they showed during their CES presentation, they also presented 2 new devices that are actually already on the market overseas. Okay,
right.
And they're actually going to be coming to North America later on this year, along with many others. And so I was in the middle of making this video, kind of just a quick spec breakdown, kind of not really an opinion piece and everything. I was just like, why? Do you know what I mean? Like I know that there's obviously a segment of viewers and people that watch my content, whether it be the live streams or whatever, that are going to be interested. But at the same time, it was just like, I would be more comfortable doing this with my own hands-on with the product and whatnot, and rather than taking what they've put together. I'm not saying what they've put together the thing is dishonest or anything. That's not what this is. No. And there's nothing against the company or anything like that. That's why I'm not naming them. It's just it just felt weird being handed all this stuff. And let's be really clear, they didn't say to me, Zach, do this. They just said, here's our stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Cool. Like, we're sharing with you because I've worked with them in the past. I've covered their stuff in the past, right? And then I had a couple more companies come to me and send me stuff. So I have all these different folders. This company that did, they have B-roll, and they have different behind the scenes stuff, and one-on-one, and then pictures and high res, this and that. And on one side of me is going, okay, great. I don't have to do anything. I literally can sit here and just look at the camera, say a few words, put it all together, and have a video. But then I become everything else on fucking YouTube that I don't like in the tech space.
Yeah.
Everybody else does this. And I'm so goddamn sick of being in that space where be unique and be Zach and do whatever you want. The moment I go do that, nothing, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, geez, I don't understand why I'm so upset with this, because I want to cover it. I'm interested in it. I like tech. I do. I don't want to get into that space of this is how you do it and this is how you play the game and everything like that.
Yeah.
God, it just makes me ill, literally, to the point where I've actually been in bed for the last 23 hours.
Yeah, I totally.
I don't know if any of that makes sense.
No,
it totally does. And I mean, like I said,
and it's nothing against the people that do that. There are people that do it really well. I like watching that kind of content.
And their audiences are up for it, and that's what they build their channel on.
Yeah, but I don't like making that kind of content. But that if you don't make that kind of content in our niche, you just get bypassed. You get bypassed by everybody, but your quote unquote your peers, and I use that term very loosely.
So this is actually kind of ironic, because I've had these conversations almost every day for the past week in a certain app I won't name because Jason gets honor you about it. But
we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But interestingly enough, I think you're just too nice. When brands reach out to you and they give you like prep material, you feel obligated to do something with it. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do anything with it. I got the same information that you got. I have no plans on making a video about this stuff. It's outside of my brand, my niche per se. I mean, I'll retweet it on Twitter, absolutely, because I love the brand and I love the people that work there. But I'm not going to make a video about that. I'm not doing that.
But it's a bigger picture than that, Viper. It's not just that. It's just how the entire tech niche seems to work,
Right.
which is, you get the stuff, you talk about the stuff, you put out the stuff,
Right.
and whatnot, and then if the thing is, if you do your own spin, if you're doing your own really kind of unique thing, whether it be like what I've been doing lately with streams or whatever, it doesn't seem to get garnered the same. And I'm not talking about the audience in terms of response, but the same sort of respect or networking possibilities with brands, future brands and whatnot. So it's very frustrating because I don't want to do the same thing as everybody else, even though, yes, it's me speaking, it's the way I filmed, whatever, right? It's just I don't know if any of that makes any sense. I just was not happy with it. And like I said, I recorded that thing twice, and I did two different ways, and I just was not happy with it at all.
How do you correlate that with not getting like reach from brands just because you won't make a video about their press release? Like,
no.
Well-
It's not because I didn't, and I have. It's ready to go. It's uploaded.
Okay.
It's how you do it, and in terms of timing and how it's presented and what.
I mean the rat race, the embargo stuff, which is all right.
I guess in a way the embargo stuff, although it's not a big deal because if you look for search results for that thing, there's not much there.
Okay.
But.
Jason knows more about this than I do. I'll just put in my 2 cents and I'll let Jason go. I mean, I know you're not going to want to hear this, but being a tech content creator, that's the game. We always get embargo stuff, and we have dates and things that we have to have stuff submitted by. I mean, that's just what it is. Now, you don't have to have it out by such and such embargo date. You could wait till after the embargo date is up. Like you can wait a day or two after it's up and then do it. But then, as you know, then you kind of lose out on that initial rush. But at least you'll have that peace of mind that you're not trying to meet a rat race. So I think it's all about how you approach it. If you want to be in the rat race, yeah, then by all means you could be in the rat race. But I'm just of the mindset that you don't have to be in the rat race if you don't want to. If it helps your mental state to not join that rat race, then don't join it. You can still put out the content after the rat race and still get views. But if you want to get the views, then you have to understand that you got to join the rat race. Go ahead,
that's part of the problem too, is this whole race for views and everything like that. And I've definitely put that mindset aside in the last little while. Like I worry more about the quality of the content and coming across and being genuine and being, transparent, which I'm pretty sure I am. But again, it's a matter of the cycle. And I guess a lot, like Jason was saying at the start there, like I guess I'll segue to you, is I'm just not happy with how the machine works.
I agree with Andrew.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that Bob is already on fire tonight. So he's just picked up where he left off last week. But I think Andrew has a good point that echoes what Viper has said, and it's the hardest thing about being, well, I mean, we know about being tech YouTubers. So we put it in that context. And you watch other channels, you think about what is this thing that I'm supposed to be doing so that I can have success, the way that I feel I should be getting it, what's the process or whatever. And it feels like you see people cover CES and you're like, I should be doing that.
I never covered CES on my channel ever.
But that's the thing. Like I said, I went last year and I felt like, this is a great opportunity for me to do something with my channel that I'd never done. And I just couldn't figure out anything that felt good to me to do. And so I just decided to, stop filming and enjoy my time there, hanging out with people that I don't get to see all the time, meet new people. That's what was worthwhile to me about CES last year. But I do also think that, like, going to CES, not really making any videos, like over almost a 2-week period between the end of the holidays and when CES started, like, that put my channel off to a bad start. And I really couldn't I was just lost for a while. Like, what am I supposed to be doing? And I felt the same way as this week started. I woke up yesterday and I was like, well, I know all this stuff is online right now, and I see people are talking about it on Twitter, and I feel like I should watch it. And I just didn't. I just didn't. I mean, because I started to realistically think, like, what is it that I would be watching? I would be watching one after the other, little press conferences that don't really say anything about stuff that you can't really have right now. And to me, it's like, have you ever had to do those virtual, like those online sexual harassment trainings?
Yeah.
Where, you have to answer the question and you have to answer like any kind of like at work, like competency training. I feel like I would just be watching hour upon hour.
You're right. That's exactly. I think somebody on Twitter said that the same thing. It's almost like watching an online at work training module. But here's the thing. I watched a few of these press conferences because I'm kind of excited because this is my first CES, so I've been watching some of them. But oh my God, these brands better pray to the heavens that creators exist, because they are terrible at presenting their own products. They are so boring. It's like watching paint dry. Like, my God, can you be any worse at this? Like, damn.
There's definitely, I mean, they're not just presenting to people like us that expect a different type of, like, definitely the people that are watching right now or listening to this podcast would probably definitely feel the same way, Viber, right? Like, oh my God, right? Because they're used to your style, my style, whatever, right? But the people that are up there presenting for these companies, they're presenting for not only just tech people like us and everything like that, but publications overseas being translated, this and that. So you got to find that balance. I'll say this though. I'll tell you the truth. I did like Samsung's approach. The guy that was walking back and forth between the different rooms and everything.
Oh God, he was boring.
You didn't like him? I liked him.
I thought he was boring.
I thought he was good.
I tell you what I did like though. Hans Desberg from Verizon and Lisa Su from AMD crushed it. I enjoyed it. They were flexing. I'm like, yes, I'm here for the flex factor. Do that. I like that.
So I want to talk about Andrew's comment here, which I think he has a good point. A lot of the stuff that the average person can get to is not really the stuff that makes a lot of difference. And for me, it's like, I know, like, if I know that stuff is happening, right? Like behind closed doors stuff is happening, and I don't have a piece of it, then it's almost doubly painful for me to like go and do the other stuff. So knowing that historically on my channel, when I have like put out stuff that would be like a little like, hey, here's what so-and-so is putting out this year. Here's what they showcased at CES. Nobody watches those videos, right? Like on my channel, I get 1/3, if not less, viewership on those kinds of videos than I do on most of the other stuff on my channel. And I'm sure if I like really pushed it and made it a part of a thing that I do, then it would grow. But I don't really want to grow out of that. And I think YouTube and CES and like E3 and Mobile World Congress and stuff like that, I think maybe 5 years ago and before, the YouTuber ecosphere wasn't as large, right? And so the relationships that were being built from a smaller cohort into, and I think guys like Andrew, who've been around for a while, have had the opportunity to build Andrew's probably gone to CES for like, a decade and a half. I don't know. I've been one time. So of course I don't have the same connections, the same contacts, anything like that. But that leads me to the question of like, okay, so if I don't have the opportunity to benefit in that way, having the conversations, making the connections, et cetera, then do I want to go through like, I don't know. I wanted to make like the soup kitchen line and just take whatever scraps I could get. No, I don't really want to do that.
Yeah, Colin, last year was your first CES, right?
Yeah.
Like physical, right?
Yeah.
Did you have any meetings planned? You didn't plan any meetings, did you? You just kind of
I did. I did.
You did.
Yeah,
okay.
but the thing is, I went into last year saying I'll take the meetings that come to me,
Yeah. Okay.
and so I did that. And by and large, I mean, I met some people, I built some relationships, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
But it hasn't made a huge difference in the day to day. Now, over the course of years, I could see how it could build out like that.
Yeah.
But I think that what CES does to a lot of YouTubers is it turns YouTubers into like unpaid interns making promo videos for these companies to promote their products.
And that was, like I said, after I made the video and everything, I was like, okay, because my greatest strength with my videos, and this is proven by my analytics, this is proven by actual data, this is proven by comments, second of all, and also feedback I've received from a couple of other YouTube gurus, or if you want to call, sorry, not gurus, I hate to use that. I guess educators. But first and foremost, the data has been my most powerful videos, and streams have always been things where I draw on my personal experience.
Yeah.
So, for example, that video I did last year of kind of like a wrap up of like everything I saw, which was just kind of like a quick montage of video and this and that.
Yeah.
People seem to enjoy that. Other than that, the only videos I really did at CES were when I went to the TCL presser there with the 10 Pro and 10L, because it was their first devices for North America, so I was interested in that. But Andrew makes a really good point here. I think I mentioned this as well. And this is because the first time I went to CES was in 2018 when I was with the distributor company I was with here. Okay, so I was on a completely different path. I wasn't there as Zach Talks Tech. I was there in my professional mode for the company I was working with, and then the second time I went, I had a chance to kind of, like I said last year, to do all the meetings and everything, because during my first time going there, I got to see all the things. I went last year with the intent of making contacts and having meetings. I had 22 meetings. I made it to 18. The other 4 I had to do virtually after. It just was, but I agree with Andrew saying here, the shore floors. I mean, some people like that, going from booth to booth and checking things out. That's cool, right? Do your thing. We're not saying don't do it. But I definitely did not stop at booths unless it was on the way to another meeting, or if I was meeting with that brand at that booth kind of thing. In fact, on the Wednesday of CES, I spent pretty much the whole day at the MGM, going between floors at meetings and everything. Like I didn't even get down to the Las Vegas Convention Center or anything like that. So, I mean, it really depends on, like I always say this is my opinion of it. If it's your first physical CES, go and just take in what you want, go see what you want, don't make any meetings, just have fun with it, which is what Viper's doing, which is really great to see. You're clicking around, you did this and that, right? One of the most powerful things this year, Viper, for sure, I saw right away, which I thought would be great for everybody, is like right below all these presentations is like there's a PR contact or a way to get in touch, right? Which sometimes it's difficult when you go to these different booths. There's hundreds of people and everybody's trying to hand out their business card. And this year, just click, way you go, right? And so that's really powerful. Maybe somehow they can put that in. And then if when you go your second or third year, maybe you go there with a goal of this or that. So Jason, I think you did the right thing last year going, and it's definitely overwhelmed. But this year, definitely being a virtual thing, it's just like you sit and watch. Here's some material if you want to do something on it, and then move on to the next thing. And it's just like I said, the most powerful thing about CES is that interaction, is the fact that the entire tech world, minus Apple, depending on where they are, is all in one place, right? And we all have access. Like, when would I have one-on-one access with a PR person, like top of the game at, like, say, iHome or it could be LG, or I'm just rambling off names here, for example.
Yeah.
Right. So,
right.
I mean, yeah, it may not be for everybody, but there's depending on what you're looking to get out of it, depending on what kind of coverage you do, right?
So I think it's important to note that even though CES is digitally, there are still backroom dealing going on, even virtually. I mean, I'm getting emails about people that are asking me if I want to look into getting product samples and things like that. So there's still that stuff going on. So that has not disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah. It's to me like, okay, so this was kind of like my CES experience in a nutshell last year. I had some companies that I wanted to see, that I wanted to talk to, some that I made contact with, some that I went to their booths and very specifically asked. Because, I mean, for me, it's like, okay, I went, I had a decent number of subscribers, I'd covered these products, they likely knew who I was, et cetera, et cetera. But then I go to LG's gigantic booth, and I kind of stand around the smartphone section for a few minutes, and I'm like, well, this looks like volunteers, nobody that actually works for LG. So I went back out to their sort of greeting booth, and I asked, I was like, hey, do you guys have any social media, like, contact people, liaisons, anybody here work in the social media front for you at this show? And the young fella behind the counter looked at me like I had three heads and was like, I don't think so. Just like, okay. So yeah, that's frustrating. But again, I know that one of my shortcomings or whatever it is that I don't typically do very well, like in those scenarios, like
in a
trying
social
to
setting. Well, let's be honest. Let's give an example of this. I'm not picking on you, but this is true. We were at the Nomad Mixer.
Yeah.
There was at the it was at the MGM, right? Yeah. They had a big room at the end of a hallway at the MGM,
Yep.
with a couple different floors. I think everybody was on the main floor, and they had various cocktails and things like that. If you wanted to, you didn't have to,
Right.
And food and everything. I think I ate most of their fruit, most of their meat and cheese because I hadn't eaten all day. What's up, Chuck? If you're there, and it was funny because we all got there, and I had to kind of like pull you. Get over here, like, hey, everybody, this is Jason from Family Honest Tech. But once you got in there, it was good,
Yeah.
right? It was good.
Yeah,
right?
no, it was good, and I enjoyed like meeting those folks and everything. But yeah, that's my default mode.
Yeah.
More so now that I don't drink. It used to be that I could get a couple of drinks in me and I could talk to anybody. But I don't drink anymore. And so when I go into like, I'm still like all what are my normal inhibitions and just like the way that I interact with people, all of that stuff doesn't have anything pushing back against it. So I'm just not good or comfortable with that stuff.
Yeah.
And much like, I was kind of having this little mope out session on Twitter today about the fact that like there are things about being a YouTuber that don't offer me the same kind of rewards as I got from being a teacher, being a writer, being a musician.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah.
I mean, teaching, you're obviously like interacting with people. You're taking something that you have mastery of, and you're giving that to them. It's an exchange of it's a beneficent exchange. It's like you could say it's like going to church and getting the sermon or what. Like those are all beneficent givings of information or ideas. And when I had interactions with students and the energy was flowing back and forth, I mean, that is a real energizing, good feeling, right? Music and writing were the same thing in slightly different ways. YouTube is there are things about there. Okay, there are some people who do an incredible job of teaching on YouTube. But I don't think that there are. I mean, I don't make a how-to channel. I don't have a how-to channel. So I end up making this commentary stuff that at its best, it fosters conversation and makes people think.
I'm gonna because I know where you're going with this because based on your tweets and everything like that, I understand where the fulfillment's not there anymore, and now that you $3.99 super chat from from Krista W. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Krista. It's good to see you.
Let's take our friend Renee Ritchie as an example.
Yes.
Okay. I would argue and agree with, and this is the area that Renee's in, is that he is a Apple education channel.
Yeah.
More than anything. I mean, obviously there's commentary there here and there. What's stopping Jason T. Lewis from doing the same thing under the Painfully Honest Tech name? And I don't think there's anything. You just switch it up. You know, you've already done away with the dramatics and everything, and then maybe you get back to, like you said, getting more of a fulfillment because you did before with the educating. But also the other thing, I have to ask you this, Jason, and this is just being honest. You knew you were getting into, right? I mean, that's an honest question, right? I mean, you knew you were going to go full time. You knew what the game was.
Yeah.
Right.
But part of it is too that what I knew I was getting into middle of 2018 and making plans to leave my job. And what I know now, like a year and a half into being, well, I wasn't full time for the first 6 months, but you know, a year or so into being full time. You learn stuff about, like, you go from the surface level of, like, you know, you make the videos that are easy to, like, when you're working a job, you make the videos that are like the easy videos to pick off and put out in quick fashion. Over the past year, I've sort of gotten to the next layer of depth, which is like, I can't do everything. I know I don't like doing those things. I know that this thing has burned me out. So where do I go from there? You know, and the question really is, like, yeah, you're absolutely right. I could be more, you know, of an educational kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
However, I feel like there's a lot more depth available to me in doing something educational in something like music and audio tech.
Like here's a take on the educational, on the tech thing. I always think of, because we talk about this all the time on the podcast and everything, especially when it comes to the marketing of some products, right? We always see these big words, this and that, or certain things that are overshadowed or not focused on that should be, that consumers should be aware of when they're purchasing products and whatnot. And that's part of what we do with reviews here, right?
Yep.
You know, we let people know that, you know, yes, it has a 720 I'm just going to throw something out there. Yes, it has a 720 panel, but yes, it does look just as good. You will not be able to tell the difference, you know, and give people video evidence of that. So why not go that? I mean, that's a good direction that you could go in terms of really being painfully honest with, here are the actual facts of this current technology, as opposed to, I'm not saying going against what they may or may not be marketing, but just getting really old down and here's factual, right?
Yeah.
Like I always have friends and family who always say, oh, well, everybody in the world uses iMessage. No. For the most part,
they can use iMessage.
For the most part, worldwide, it's WhatsApp, up until maybe last week, with everybody switching over to Signal. But that's a different conversation, right. So I mean, and things like that, because they've been marketed to, and that's what they believe in. And if that works in their current world situation in North America, then fine, cool, right? But this here is a fact, right?
Yeah.
Like this is a fact. Hey, this phone's waterproof. No. It's waterproof up to 100 meters in fresh water.
Right.
Salt water. No. Right? And just making sure that facts. FAX.
Right.
So my analysis of what Jason is feeling is that when he is a teacher and he's walking into a classroom, he is walking into a familiar situation where he is the lead dog. He knows what to expect when he walks into a classroom. When you put him in a situation like CES, he is walking into uncharted territory, and he kind of has to figure out how to integrate himself into that situation. And I don't know if he's comfortable doing that. At least that's what I'm reading from listening to him tonight. Am I right or am I wrong?
That's pretty fair. I mean, yeah, I think that for me, CES is kind of like it's kind of a thing that you have, like you said, that you have to figure out how you fit how to make it your own, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
And I've struggled to come up with what that is in terms of CES, but also just in like the context of my videos.
Right.
You know, it's like I look back and like, you know, so we've talked many times about how I've made certain companies mad and they've disinvited me from events and all these kinds of things. I can also track that back to like the beginning of when my channel started to change. You know, I was no longer riding the sort of well-worn path of other YouTubers who have done the tech thing, right? If for no other reason than I just like recklessly made people mad, which is something that I'm prone to do. So if I'm not that, if I'm not so much the guy who goes to the conferences and goes to the events and goes to the things and like rubs elbows with the people and we all get to be friends, then it's like, okay, I have to figure out what I am in relation to that. Like, and so it's like, on one hand, I feel like I could change my approach and I could become more brand friendly and I could get into the sort of like realm of people who get the review units ahead of time and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that the people who do that have made a conscious effort to be brand friendly or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it would be a conscious effort for me because my instinct is to go a different way. So I would have to make a conscious effort to change the way I approach that stuff if I wanted to get into that. But I don't think I want to get into that if it means that I have to like consciously change the way I do things.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, for both of you all, you have to do what more. You have to do what is most comfortable for you. If you feel like you have to go outside of your comfort zone, you're not going to be successful because that's just not. It's not comfortable.
Well, hold on. We hear that all the time. If you want to be successful, you have to do uncomfortable things.
Well, I don't mean like that. I'm just meaning like if you are okay. Let me rephrase it. If you are forcing yourself to do things that just don't make sense to you, that just don't feel comfortable to you, you are not going to succeed. You are because part of it is embracing the grind and doing the things that need to be done to be relevant on the platform.
Well, I think it also means too, like the grind is also partially doing the work that then, you know, the more you do that work, the more you reveal to yourself what you are good at and what people respond to versus what people don't respond to as much from you. And then you have to rectify that against like what you are looking for out of this. And you have to take a more deliberate path with the content that you create eventually. I mean, so like that's sort of the crux of this conversation is how does it benefit me to do something that I know is anathema to my instincts, like to go and sort of like make, this sounds bad, make friends with people and all that kind of stuff. I got into this stuff and maybe like my mindset has always been, I don't trust the man. If that does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
So like my instinct toward doing content has always been like, okay, this all sounds nice and shiny. What is really going on here? And let's talk about that. And so in some ways, Zach, I think I've been doing some of this stuff, like you were saying, you know, get into it deep. Like when I talked about the AirPods Max, I mean, I think I was able to bring the AirPods Max conversation to a level that hopefully helped everyday people understand a little bit more in depth, like how these things worked, what they sounded like, how that was being accomplished. But then when I find out that there's a battery problem and I report on that, and then I find out that there's a condensation problem and I report on that, it once again, like the specifics get lost in the bigger picture, which is like, wait, you just said you really like the AirPods Max, so I just bought them, and now you say that there's this and that. It's like, I mean, you know, things change.
Yeah.
I mean, I would feel like I was not being honest if I knew about these things and didn't say anything about it.
And also keep in mind, and this is proven through, I mean, you can go to any YouTube comment section. It doesn't have to be tech. It could be anything. The people that are negative, I hate using the word trolls, but I guess the trolls, the haters, if you will, they will be more vocal in the comments than, say, someone that watched your video, went, you know what, that was helpful, clicked off and went and enjoyed their tech or whatever it is, or went out and bought them. And that's why I think it almost means a lot when we get those little comments here and there.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Jason, I watched your videos on AirPods Max. I decided to skip on them and go get the WM1000, whatever the heck they're called.
Which I also think it's not the greatest choice, but okay.
But I'm giving an example, right?
Yeah, I know.
I know. We get way more. When I say we, I mean you. I don't say YouTubers, but people that publish YouTube videos in general get way more negative comments and whatnot, and that's fine. People are allowed to express how they are, but then we do positive. And
or at least we pay attention to the negative more than we pay attention to the positive.
Yeah, it seems like, and everything. So you got to keep that in perspective as well, so that when you go do these videos, and people are okay, great, and everything, and then you publish something negative and everybody goes off on you, just realize it's really kind of a minority, possibly.
Yeah.
All right.
I think you're right, and just to put like a final kind of,
we need to move on. Yep.
Yeah, a final little period on the sentence of this conversation. At the end of the day, it's like Alan says here. Alan appreciates that I go back and I update my review because a lot of people don't. That's right, true. And I think also because. I think a lot of people don't, because they don't look at what they're doing the same way that I mean, obviously they don't look at what they're doing the same way that I do, but my goal is to like provide the information. So still like teaching, right? So, I mean, if I were a teacher and I found out that like the way that we just did that math problem was wrong after the fact, then I wouldn't be a very good teacher if I didn't go back and say, hey, I just found out that we did this wrong. It goes this way, and this is what you come out with. It's, so you have to be aware of that when you are using this math problem, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the way I'm wired. And so like, I feel like where I'm at my best when it comes to reviewing products on YouTube is when I am committing myself to a longer period of time with the product than just like, here's a review of this. It just came out today, or it just came out last week, and then moving on. And it feels weird. Yep. Compared to like, I mean, I really wish that more of my YouTube time could be just like, here's the schedule of videos for this week. I'm just gonna make them. You know what I mean? Yep. I'm just gonna run through them one at a time. But I probably think about, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I probably think about things too much.
Well, I think most creators do, but we need to table this discussion, probably have it offline because we need to move on to our next topic. We are in the middle of a tech podcast. So yeah.
Yes, we are. You're right. And I've seen people in the comments asking about this mystery Apple event.
Yeah, I will transition us into that. So me and Jason were having a little DM discussion before we went live on the podcast tonight, because there have been rampant reports on Twitter and in tech space today that Apple is going to have some type of mystery announcement tomorrow, and there's been a ton of speculation about what it could potentially be. Now, apparently, Tim Cook he did an interview on CBS, and I guess the clip of the interview aired today or whatever somewhere. And I guess Tim Cook had alluded to a special announcement being made on Wednesday. So apparently, Apple has something big planned on Wednesday. Now, the interesting thing about this particular Apple announcement is that it is reportedly not a new product or service. It is some type of initiative. Now, the speculation that me and Jason were talking about that I've seen running rampant through Twitter is that a lot of people believe that Apple is going to make their Apple stores a distribution center for a possible vaccine, or for the vaccine. I shouldn't say possible. The vaccine. Hold on. Yeah. But that's what people were thinking. They think that Apple is going to set up their stores as a distribution center for the vaccine. And Jason gave me an essay about why this is not happening. Jason, take the mic.
I didn't see his response, but I'm going to assume it's going to be something along the lines of,
well,
go get your phone and get a prick too at the same time.
Well, I mean that
part of it. Part of it.
What? That's part of it. But the bigger thing is this.
That's ridiculous. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I mean, we're in the middle of a global pandemic that's like a pandemic because of its high virality.
Good
right?
Lord.
And so for Apple to transition all their stores into a space where you could be safe from transmission of the virus while getting, if basically triage centers.
Are they offering 3 years of Apple Care with it? If they are, then let's let's give her.
Yeah, but are they going to hire nurses to work the Genius Bar? Like what? It's just, it might seem at first thought like, oh, this makes sense, right? Apple has all these stores all over the place. But the Apple stores are closed right now for the most part.
Come on.
The one in Des Moines near me, the only one in Iowa, has been closed basically for the whole time we've been under pandemic rule, right? But the thing is, you have to have people who are qualified to administer the vaccine. You have to have an environment that is sanitary and safe to conduct that kind of thing. You have to be able to control that environment, right? So, here we are. Over here on the right, we have, our vaccine station. Over here on the left, we're giving a presentation to over 75-year-old people on how to use their iPhone.
Oh my God!
Right?
You're killing me, man.
So,
if you can't even pull up my receipt from a week ago when I bought these defunct headphones, and I'm not going to trust you with the needle,
yeah, no, it's a great thought, but there's also like you said, can I buy an iPhone and get a vaccine?
Jeez.
Can I get a discount on the iPhone if I get myself vaccinated?
So part of the response that Jason had tweeted to me in the DM is that there is no way, and I completely agree, there is no way Apple is going to set themselves up to be held for that type of liability. There's just no way in hell. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think our government is stupid enough to try anything like that either. We have hospitals and medical centers and all that kind of stuff in every municipality everywhere across the country because that's how you get medicine. That's how you get physician care. We don't need eye physicians. We do need eye physicians, but not eye.
For point of order, though, there are other sites that are being set up as vaccination triage, and I think they are setting up stadiums. I just read a Twitter headline that some stadium is actually being set up as a vaccination center. So it's not out of the realm of possibility of being done. It's just that it's not something that Apple would do, in my opinion.
No, and a lot of times, when you talk about stadiums, a lot of times stadiums are at least partially publicly funded, and so they are a public venue. There's like a conflict of interest thing, a competition thing. Apple gets to have people come in to get vaccines, so that gives them a fair. And then people will start talking about Apple's monopoly on the vaccine.
Oh,
so. It's a good thought.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're in agreement. We don't see it happening.
Musafar though has Apple vaccine 99 cents, needle $4.99.
Wow. So Andrew Edwards has a more realistic approach to it. He says that he imagines it's going to be privacy related or an automobile initiative. Now, that'll be interesting, the automobile part.
Yeah, I think given the recent events here in the United States,
that makes more. Yeah, that does make more sense, Jason. Yeah.
Maybe they're providing security at the Capitol.
Oh.
Well, yes, they're announcing that in light of how poorly our government has been able to take care of itself in the past couple of weeks, they are going to deploy congressmen and senators.
Well, actually, what Jason was about to say is that the automobile thing makes a lot of sense, and it does because, as you know, there have been reports that Apple has reached an agreement with Hyundai to work together on Apple first electric car, whatever that is. But the funny thing that happened, I think it was last week, Hyundai had made that info public, and then they had to walk it back because you all know how Apple is. Apple doesn't like any of that stuff getting out into the public before they announce it themselves. So Hyundai quickly walked it back. So it would be a good bet that that's what the big announcement is tomorrow. Definitely.
It's possible.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
It could also be that Apple is going to come out finally with a statement about the condensation in the AirPods Max.
They're not. They won't unless it's droves of people.
That condensation, as Hugo points out here, could possibly actually be a vehicle for the vaccine.
Oh,
it just soaks through your ears while you're wearing the headphones.
I mean, okay, so it's actually kind of interesting. Like I said, I don't think Apple's ever going to directly address this or call them back unless there's droves of people that start having this problem, and that will only happen when there's, lots of these units out, and it will only happen months after people start using them, right? And it also depends on where you are with them, like definitely in terms of humidity and everything, and what part of the country you are you indoor or outdoor? It seems like, right? Because we've seen lots of people say, well, I don't have this issue.
Viper was sitting in his house last week in Chicago, where it's cold as a witch's tit and not necessarily all that humid, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And he had the problem. So I don't think it's like so much environment related.
No.
I think that it's like I said, I think it's in the way that they were designed. They weren't designed to like properly vent the heat and moisture that's generated just from your body being covered. You know,
Jason said you were doing testing. Did you ever encounter the issue with yours?
I did not, but then again, I haven't had time. I haven't had time to wear them for like 2 hours. My AirPods Max are actually in the box right now.
Are you going to return them?
I don't want to return them, but I feel like, and really, like, this is my money. A $550 investment in a pair of AirPods that could short out 6 months from now because of all this condensation that's built up inside them.
Yep.
And degraded the parts inside from the moisture.
And when you do return them, Apple's going to say you had them exposed to water, no warranty. Goodbye. Here you go.
I haven't seen anything in their TOS that says like anything necessarily about that.
Well, they have specific. We talked about this last week. We talked about this. Yeah, how they have the things inside the phones, for example. That.
Yeah. I know the phones. I don't know if they have anything like that in the headphones though.
They probably will because they're not. There's no IP rating.
Yeah.
Well, if I send them back, they're taking them back.
Yeah, exactly. Jason, I have exciting news though about headphones.
Okay.
I am getting the Drop THF Panda, but not from our buddy though. I had to buy them, but Jason, I brought them for $200.
Wow.
Yes.
Where'd you pull that off?
GameKey selling here, and I pooped them up.
I'm surprised. GameSkey just made a video like kind of slurping all over them. See here, we learn things.
Wow.
We learn things.
Oh man.
My drops are like right here.
So it's funny that you say that, Jason, because I asked him, I said, why are you selling them? And he made a good point. He told me that he reviewed so many headphones that he doesn't really have time to like get comfortable with a pair, so he likes to keep them moving. And I mean, with all the headphones that he gets, I can imagine that's the case.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and like I'm kind of getting to that point as well with like, well, for one thing, here's my iPod 12 Pro Max
with the flashlight on.
With the flashlight on, exactly, because that's the thing. Even though I've had this since November with the holiday like return windows, I can still return that, and I wouldn't return it because I don't like it or I don't want to use it, But again, we're getting into January, which is like the slow time for YouTube anyway. So with all of these things, stuff that I receive from companies, that kind of stuff, I mean, some things I won't sell, because I feel like it's really tough. It's really tough because some things I have sold and some things I wouldn't feel comfortable selling, but maybe I'm yet again overthinking it. But yeah, the drops, I have to spend more time with them myself. Like that's part of my problem is I have so many headphones that have been sent to me that I haven't had enough time to really like sit down and put through their paces. Like I now have to adjust my workday so that it builds in time to use the products, you know? Whereas before, when I was just starting out doing this, I would go and I would buy something and I would use it for a week or two, and I would be totally ready to make a review without having to like made any conscious effort to familiarize myself with the product. But now it's like, okay, like Audis just sent me an email yesterday, like, hey, when are you going to do that review? We sent you the headphones like, last year sometime. and the thing is, like, again, I haven't had time to spend with them long enough to feel like I could make a decent review. Whereas GameSki, I think he probably already does what I'm talking about and has like gone through. And once he gets to a point and he knows he's not going to be able to enjoy the headphones again, then he sends it right on. I saw he was also selling his Fold 2.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think he also does a lot of what I do, which is just like he doesn't cover the Fold 2 on his channel, but he is interested in it. He's interested in these phones, so he just goes out and gets them, and then turns around and resells them, which is totally fine. Now, I do need a painfully honest intern, and I'm working on it. I got to make.
Whoa, this is breaking news. What?
Well, Zach was going to help me with another video that I was supposed to make 6 months ago.
Yo, Zach, you working hard behind the scenes. I don't know if you all realize how hard Zach works behind the scenes, man. Fucking beat.
Yeah, I've got a lot of things going on. I'll be perfect. I'll throw this out there. I don't know if I made this obvious to you, Jason, so far, but I want to help you build up what you're doing, and I think we need to talk a little bit more on top of what we talked about last week.
Oh.
Triggered my anxiety, man.
No, because if that's the whole idea is to de-trigger.
Yeah.
To alleviate that. But there needs to be some structure.
I know.
Okay. We're definitely taking this one offline. We're not having this.
No, it's not. It's not a bad thing. We've talked about this.
Oh no, I know.
The whole thing is like one of the reasons that I haven't finished my Razer setup video is that it's not like a sit down in front of the camera and talk video. Like I'd been working on this setup, putting it together, getting it socked away and sort of set up the whole time that I've been like preparing to do the video, right?
They introduced a bunch of really cool things on Tuesday as well.
Yeah, they did.
Yesterday.
Oh.
But when I was doing that B-roll the other night, Zach, that was after I spent another 3 hours working on the setup. So like I was pulling hue lights from other places and gluing them places and moving things around and just like getting everything set. I had to get the right wallpaper background. It can't be too colorful, but it can't be just black. So I use this regular Razer logo on black, but still. So now I'm to the point where I got that B-roll done. I got to do some daytime B-roll and I got to shoot the A-roll, which I thought I was going to be able to get through over the weekend, but obviously.
Okay. So
yes.
The next conversation is going to potentially trigger Jason. So before we get there, I want to ease Jason into it. So if you could, Jason, I see 3 guitars over your left shoulder. Could you kindly like explain what they are and what makes them different from one another?
They're different colors.
No. Well, okay. This is my Martin D15 that I bought new.
Damn, it looks good.
I bought this new in 1997.
Can you give us a little strum?
I don't know if it's in tune.
Okay,
it's a pocket.
Not bad.
Okay, so what type of guitar is that? Just like a regular guitar? Or?
It's an acoustic guitar.
Okay.
I bought it as my first like good guitar.
Okay.
Because in my old band, I played mainly acoustic guitar, maybe like 1/3 electric, but not when we were touring because I didn't want to bring 2 guitar rigs. So anyway,
All right, what about the
this-
gold one?
this has been to England with me. It's been all over the place.
You've
So,
been to England?
You did England, yeah.
Yeah,
Like the country?
we played over there
World traveler,
a couple
man.
of times. Yeah, and
I have a hard time picturing you leaving your neighborhood. That's all.
Oh.
This is
well,
before then.
I used to drink a lot, so it was easier for me to travel.
Okay. What about the can? What about the can one?
This one,
Yes.
is like it's a Fender Squier copy of a 1952 Telecaster of sorts, but I changed the pickups, so that's like a
Jason, I need that in English.
okay. So this is a Telecaster made by a company made by Fender Guitars, but this is their sort of like their step down brand called Squier. But the reason I like to buy these is because usually if you get a good one, you get a good piece of wood and it's fixable. You can make it a really good guitar. So that's what I've been doing with this one. It's got some different pickups in it.
Oh, is Telecaster the name of the branding or?
Telecaster is the name of the model of guitar.
Okay.
So that right there, that is my my Gibson SG with P90 pickups as opposed to humbucker pickups. The P90s are, I could talk a lot about why they are.
Did you know that I used to sell guitars, so I know everything you're talking about.
Good.
I used to work at a place called Axe Music here in Calgary.
Oh, I didn't even see the fourth one. Wow.
Yeah, there's that one. That is a Fender. Well, it's a Squier Bronco bass. It's like a 3/4 scale bass. Instead of being like full scale, it's shorter. So if you're a guitar player and you also play bass, one of the tricks is to get a smaller scale bass, so it feels more like playing guitar. So that's what that is, and it's got flat wound strings on it. Basically, I used to have one of the a knockoff of the Hofner basses that Paul McCartney used to play.
Okay, so before we move on, I need to know how much you pay for those. Oh yeah,
They're more than headphones.
I'm sure.
I think in 1997 I paid $1,000 for this one.
Okay. So it's like $1,200 now.
Well, they sell this same model now for like $1,600, which isn't like super expensive for an acoustic, like a good acoustic guitar. Like when I got paid for my 1 million view video a couple of years ago, I bought myself a $3,500 guitar,
Okay.
and then I sold it because buying that was stupid.
How much was the tan one?
I think this was originally like $200 with an amp and a guitar strap and a cable already boxed in, because it was like a starter set that I got for my son.
I would have thought that would have been more expensive than the other one you just showed. Interesting.
It's not.
No,
It's not. Very well. I have more parts in it right now than I originally paid for the guitar.
Okay.
So it's like probably a $500 guitar now.
All right. What about that brown one over there?
So that one, I think I got it on sale, but the sticker price normally is about $1,600. And then that bass costs like $150.
That's it? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's sort of a method to like madness when you're buying multiple guitars, especially if it's just for a recording setting. Like, you want to have your nice guitars that you can trust and that going to be ready for you, and they're going to be there and they're going to do their thing. And then you can have like a bunch of like don't have to be great, just have to get the job done guitars.
Right.
And that's kind of what the bass and the Telecaster are.
Okay.
I also have a pink Stratocaster over in the corner over there that I have plans for.
Ooh, you have time for it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we got through that because now I got to trigger Jason because we got to talk about his new favorite app, Clubhouse. So for those of y'all that are not familiar, Clubhouse, it's not really a new app, but it's been around for only a year. So I guess it is new, but it's been around for a year. It is a new social, I guess it's a new social networking platform. It's audio only. It's almost like I used to say it's like Twitter, but it's not really like Twitter. It's almost like I don't know how many of you are familiar with VidSummit or have been to VidSummit, but it's almost like going to VidSummit, only it's on your phone. It's audio only. There's a bunch of different rooms that have different topics and discussions. It's pretty neat. I always say that your experience depends on who you follow and how you curate it, which is pretty much true of any social network. But Jason has been on Clubhouse now for a few days, so I'm interested to get your initial thoughts, sir.
He went in and got out right away.
I don't think he'd stick around too long.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because I mean, in some ways, you're right. It is like going to a vid summit. Like you guys were in a room the other night with a lot of YouTube educators, and people were asking questions and that kind of thing. And I was just like, I sat there for 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
And then I was like, okay, I'm listening to Daryl Eves and Roberto Blake tell this young lady exactly what they've already told me about 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I can't add to the conversation because it's not like an open forum. And so it's just like, for me, I was just like, well, I mean, it felt like a party line. Do you guys know what party lines are?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
So when they were still the thing when I was like a really young kid, but basically a party line, it used to be that like having a phone line in your house was too expensive for some people. So they like split the bill with a neighbor and they both had the same phone number.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if your neighbor was on the phone, you could pick up the phone and, like thinking you're going to make a call and hear them talking, or, so I just kind of felt like it was a little bit like being on a party line.
I think because you've literally been there for 5 minutes. I think you went into I wouldn't say it was the wrong room. It was the wrong room for you.
Yeah.
At that time. It's interesting. Okay, so in terms of describing what it is for people as well, I'll guess I'll echo what you guys said. What also the best way to kind of look at it is, like we said, there's literally rooms. So picture a hallway. You're looking down the hallway. In the room on the right, they're talking to marketing. The room on the left, they're talking about YouTube. The room further down the hallway, they're talking about Spice Girls. I don't know why I thought of that. And then you go into these rooms, and there's different moderators, and there's different people on the quote unquote stage that can unmute their mics and talk about. And depending on the rooms that you're in, because I have walked into a couple, and it's just like everybody has their mic unmuted. At least the rooms that I have been in, thankfully, people have taken turns and been very respectful of people's times and not gone off on tangents. Apparently, I missed a few of these. I have been in a couple of rooms where people flat out, they went right into an advertising thing. They were talking about, they buy this from me and go to my, we're like, what? We're talking about growth tactics here and stuff like that. So you definitely have to find the right rooms and the right people and the right things you're talking about. Jason, I know exactly why you left and did not want to be in that room because of the couple people's names that you brought up here.
Well, I mean, it's nothing against those people. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to have the benefit of the help that they give, multiple times over at this point.
Let me ask Viper this, just to turn the wheel here a little bit. I saw a tweet, I think it was from Dean Emmett, saying that apparently you can plug in your phone to use your Rodecaster as a microphone. Have you tried that yet?
No, because I don't know if that will work with iPhone. That only works with phone with an actual like headphone jack, I think.
No.
You can go USB. I think you can go
Bluetooth,
you can go Lightning.
baby. Bluetooth, baby.
You can Bluetooth it too, but that's not as good as plugging it directly in. But yes, you can do that.
Yeah. I'm gonna look into doing it through Loop back here. I think I can go Lightning to USB A in, and then
if it's recognized as an audio input,
it should be.
As usual, Andrew Everything correct, Jason. You need to use Clubhouse in a way that will best fit you, which means avoiding YouTube creator rooms. Like you said, you need to go find other musicians and maybe other creators that are kind of doing the same things you do or have the same interests you have. And I think you will have a much more immersive, enjoying experience in the app. I've been using it for the past week. I absolutely love it. As you guys know, I'm practically living it at this point. It's just amazing the access to the people that you get in that app. You could literally end up in a room with millionaires and billionaires and just be like a fly on the wall listening to them, these people, or you can end up in a YouTube creator room. I choose to be kind of active in there. So practically every time I go into a YouTube creator room, they make me a moderator, and I'm like, end up having people grow their channels, even though I don't really have the biggest following. But I don't really agree with what you said, Jason, when you said you can't offer your 2 cents. I think you absolutely could offer your 2 cents more than I should be able to. You've been doing this longer than me. You've had much more success than me on YouTube. You can absolutely offer value to those creators in those rooms if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think there's especially when it comes to as a creative outlet for your writing or your music and the other things you like doing, Jason, as a break from the YouTube grind kind of stuff, you could jump into make your own. Again, you don't have to necessarily join someone's. If Jason made a room,
yeah,
I would be in there because I like you and I, we have a lot of common things, and I like learning about some of the things that you've done and everything like that. So I think you should definitely, because your name is attached to mine now. If you look at the bottom of your profile, it says nominated by Zach.
I know.
By the way, for people that are not on Clubhouse yet and that want to get on, 2 things. 1, it's iPhone only. I don't even think it's iPad, but it's iPhone for sure only. And 2, when people nominate you or put you in, the app finds you based on contacts. So if I don't have your phone number literally in my phone, my iPhone, I can't nominate you. And 2, I've had people whose phone numbers I do have ask me for invites. 1, I don't have any left. And 2, I don't necessarily want my name attached to yours as someone nominated. I'm dead serious about that. Because if you cause crap, I don't want to be associated with that.
Exactly. You are not kidding.
Dead serious.
I approach situations where I've been asked for invites, and even though I don't have them, I'm thinking about them. I would never give you an invite. But allow me. Yeah.
D Neiman threw it to me, and I barely even knew what it was, and I'm like, okay, D, trust me. I mean, I don't cause trouble for the most part. But you know what I mean, right? Yeah. So, but I mean, Jason, if you did a thing, a painfully honest tech, if you want it, whatever you want to call it, Clubhouse thing about talking about the latest this and that, sure.
I think no, I didn't even pay for tech. If Jason just started a musician room, I think he would have.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Blast.
Yeah, that would. Be
he
cool.
would get other musicians to come in there and chat with him, and that would just be amazing for him. I think you would love it.
No, I could see the benefit of that. I mean, you know, as you were describing what you have to do to get into it, like let's think back to Zach's description of how I interact with people at a party.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of like I hang back,
yeah.
and I don't really engage. Eventually, I will.
I've gotten more out of it just listening to people, and it's very interesting hearing people, at least in the rooms I've been in, describe some of the challenges or whatnot that they had, you know, when they first started YouTube or this or that. The funniest is I was in a room and with Viper as well, and Shelly was there. Andrew Edwards was there too. And some girl asked, and Shelly was on the stage. She's like, "How do I build my YouTube channel? I've made 3 videos and nobody's watching." And Shelly's like, and she this is not what Shelly said, but basically she said, "Bitch, make videos."
Yeah.
Like yeah,
it was pretty funny.
I would have basically said, like, okay, you've made 3 videos. That's great. Make 97 more and then come talk to me.
Jason, you have no idea how many times I've said that in that app. People like, I'm not doing the subscribers.
I've said that a few times too. Make your first 100 videos, because that's some of the best advice we ever got from Roberto. Make your first 100 videos. You'll figure out who you are. And when you go, and I had people like, what are you talking? Make 100 videos? Are you serious? Yeah, dude. This is not TikTok overnight. You got to put something into this.
Hi, Shelly. She's in the chat.
Yeah. So, hi, Shelly. Clubhouse is like what we're doing right now, except no video, and that's part of my thing too. Is like,
I know you didn't, Shelly. I said that you essentially said that, and it was the greatest because we all heard it that way.
So, my thing is like we're in the midst of this global pandemic, where like you never get to see anyone, especially if you work from home. Like I don't ever get to see anybody except when I do this.
Right.
So like taking away the video aspect of it to me is like kind of like let's just do this. That's kind of what it made me think at first. But I can see the benefit of what you guys are talking about, and I didn't give it enough.
Yeah, you need to give it more time.
You need to give it a few times. Like you need to when you go into the app, you'll instantly see right on your feed right away rooms that we may or may not be in, and then you can swipe the little dots at the bottom, or you can swipe from right to left. So whatever.
Okay, so if
And
those are rooms that you guys are going to be in, how do I find the rooms that you're not in?
well, you just kind of search around. You have to search the Explore button. You have to literally search.
That
Yeah.
was a joke.
You know at the start. You know at the start there when you first signed in, it asks you about like all your interests.
Yeah.
Like music, politics, whatever. And there's definitely a lot of categories they don't have. Again, the app is still very much beta.
Yeah, it's in beta. Here's the thing about Clubhouse, though. Unfortunately, right now, well, actually, I guess I should say unfortunately, but right now, in its current state, the app is heavily moderator driven, which means your experience could largely depend on what type of moderator is running the room.
Mhm.
Some of them, like myself, run orderly rooms where we try to get people on and off the stage, try to get them to ask their question quickly. And then some moderators run their rooms like the Wild Wild West, where everybody's talking over each other and they have like 1,000 people on the stage. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you might judge your Clubhouse experience by the type of moderator that runs the rooms that you frequent. But I don't know. It's basically the app is what you make it. And
for me, it just felt good because it felt good to interact with people like voices. So, for example, on Twitter, if I put out a tweet saying, I don't want to do this anymore, it could be perceived as one thing, it could be perceived as another, right? Whereas if someone uses their voice and says that same statement, for example, right? So it's, for me, if it just, I don't know, it sounds weird, but it just feels weird to hear some different voices and different interaction.
No, I totally get it. That makes a lot of sense. And Yuko's right. I mean, it is kind of like Discord servers in a way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
So but unlike Discord, this offers you kind of like a central hub from which to go off and find places, whereas Discord is a little bit more like ancillary, insulated. You know, every group might have their Discord, but you kind of have to know about it to get there, kind of thing. You know?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't compare it to Discord at all, but that's just me.
I think it means Discord voice.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: the Clubhouse app is not going anywhere. It has some big time backers. They're going to be around, and I'm guessing at some point it's going to be available to more people, including Android. And I'm a little scared when that happens.
Yeah, but then again, you remember Quibi?
Yes.
I remember seeing advertisements for it and then gone.
On.
Quibi had like super huge money behind it and didn't make it 6 months.
Oh, this ain't Quibi, dude. This is already,
This feels more organic.
like I said, this app has already been around for over a year, so this app.
Yeah. It's. I would say though that I'm not sure. Like if it does become open to everybody, I'm curious to see how it scales, because right now it's a pretty curated group of people.
Yeah.
And so when it gets a little bit further away from, like, so right now we've got the Museum of Modern Art of people, just as an example.
Right.
When we get a Walmart full of people,
Oh,
how's it going to work then? You know,
There's rooms like that already, man. Totally.
Oh my God. How long?
There are rooms. I don't know why I'm being exposed to some of these rooms where the people are talking about how to make money and everything, and I go in there and I listen. I'm like, this person doesn't know how to save a penny. Are you effing kidding me? What are you doing hosting a room about how to make $1 million? Are you kidding me? I can't believe what I'm hearing. Some of the things I hear.
I think when they made that room, they forgot to put the question mark.
Oh my God!
At the end of the title.
Yeah, like I said, you definitely got to find the right rooms and the right people, and I definitely start with the people because it's directly linked because it asks you to link your Instagram and your Twitter for your profile, and it's more integrated with the Twitter thing because that's how you find your followers, whatever. So definitely go follow and go into the rooms that the people that you trust and everything like that on Instagram.
Yeah, so basically, when you open the app, you are exposed to the hallway, which is the list of rooms that you can interact with, and that hallway is curated specifically on the interest that you select when you first sign up and the people that you choose to follow in the app. So you need to be cognizant of who you're following too.
Right. Yeah. Here's a question for you. Do you think? Okay. How many rooms do you think there are right now on Clubhouse plotting the overthrow of the United States government?
Oh, Lord.
It's a good question.
I'm
pretty sure it's against their terms. Let's take a look, actually.
I mean, I'm sure it is against their terms, but I mean,
I'm sure they exist. I wouldn't be surprised at this point.
I mean, and a week ago, me saying that would have been like, oh, you just libtard, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no. People just attacked the government. So, yeah. Anyway, that's as political as I'll get
Yeah.
right now. Other than to say, like, we are living in some crazy ass times, people. Oh my God. Anyway,
Yeah. I am legitimately concerned about what will happen next week.
I am too.
It is next week, yeah. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
legitimately concerned. I'm not going to go any further than that. I will just say that I'm kind of scared about what could occur next week.
So I'll
Yeah.
give you guys an example here. This room right now, this is a good room. It's actually got the clubhouse logo, which I don't know what that exactly means. I think it's somewhat endorsed or whatever. But it has D Neiman in it and a couple other names that I recognize. And the room is called YouTubers That Are Serious. The YouTube Club.
Yep.
So like this would be a good one to go into. And if I go in here right now, I'll turn it down so there's no volume here. But let's see, recognizable names. So D's on the stage. A couple of people. Okay, so D wants to put me on the stage. You saw me enter the room. I'm just gonna say no.
As soon as you go in there, they go they're trying
Like
to make me moderate. I'm not doing it. No.
Like we got Beanie in here. There's a couple other people. There's actually a lot of peers and whatnot that I recognize in here. So like this would be a good room to go check out, for example. Right, and it looks like there's about 30 people in here right now. So
yeah, that's one of the better rooms.
Yeah.
Retailer Tech brings up a good point here. I mean, not only are times crazy, but the Cleveland Browns
won a playoff game.
They didn't just win a playoff game. They beat my Steelers.
They did. Shout out to Trenton Marshall, baby. I know you happy out there, Trenton.
Although, to be fair, I would say that after 3 turnovers that turned into touchdowns in the first quarter for a total first quarter score of 28-0, I think that maybe the Steelers helped them win. Like so the Steelers take the field. Marquise Pouncey throws the ball over Ben Roethlisberger's head into the end zone. And instantly, I think they are tanking this game. Somebody is paying them money.
Wow.
Anyway.
Speaking of football, the Chicago Bears lost, which we all expected, and I hope they fire every damn body, but they won't. But I hope they fire everybody.
Hey, but Mitch Trubisky got his job back.
He needs to be cut too. Get out of here, Mitch.
Hey, man.
Terrible.
Well, I mean, how many head coaches have the Bears had in the past 10 years?
More than I can count, probably.
4 or 5, probably?
Probably, yeah.
When you don't have the continuity, you don't build the team.
Well, the team, they have been incapable of drafting the actual quarterback that is good enough. Their quarterback choices have been questionable, as the kids would say.
Well, see, but they get into that same thing that the Raiders and other teams get into, which is like, who's got the fastest 40 time? Who's got, this stat or that stat at the combine, whatever. And they draft those people, and it seems like they don't really think about any of the other stuff that matters. Like Jamarcus Russell, probably a great guy.
Oh Lord.
But oh my God.
Wow.
Like,
wow. You want to talk about bus chasing? Goddamn.
I mean, the guy ballooned up to almost 300 pounds his second year.
Yeah.
So questionable work ethic is what we'll call that.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
He had trouble understanding the playbook. Did you hear? Okay, this is the last sports thing I'm going to talk about. But you know how they outed Jamarcus Russell in the Raiders camp as like not being a hard worker?
How's that?
They were giving him DVDs to go home and watch to like go over the playbook.
Mm-hmm.
And so they gave him these DVDs to look at over the weekend, and he came back on Monday, and they were like, Jamarcus, how'd those DVDs go? You ready to run those plays? He's like, yeah, coach. Yeah, I got it. They sent him home with blank DVDs.
Wow.
So that's how they outed him, is like, not necessarily pulling his weight. I mean, no pun intended, but okay. That's
painful.
That's the end of the football talk.
All right. So where are we going next? Because I don't know where are we going next.
I want to circle back really quick to CES really quick. Not so much complaining about it. First of all, I want to make sure. Okay, that's working. I have to admit that this year, like the way they made it virtual, I really have liked what the CES people have done, like the organization and everything like that. It's been really good that way, so that when I've had time to go watch or this and that, or if I go back and replay, right, having that access to do that and everything. But for someone like myself, who's definitely an extrovert I like being in those crowds, and not necessarily crowds themselves, but the interaction. For myself, I'm not getting out of CES what I would normally get.
You sound
And
like
I think, yeah, and I think that's where a lot of the frustration come from. Now, on the other side of things, you could look at our friend DePoets, who's in the chat here, and I think I saw a tweet, or maybe it was an Instagram post from him, and he had like 3 screens going with all CES stuff, and he's just soaking it in like a sponge, and that's awesome to see.
Yeah.
And for Viper, the way that you're taking in, dude, that's awesome to see, right? But that's just my frustrations, and that has nothing to do. That's not CES's fault at all. I mean, they can't do it.
Yeah, they're doing the best they can.
Yeah.
I will say that I will complain that why is there no CES 2021 app? Like, and the reason why I'm mad about this is because I set up a bunch of meetings throughout the week, and I would love to be able to put them in my iOS calendar, but I have no way to do that unless I do it manually because there's no CES app.
Can you pull them from the website into your calendar or no?
I don't think so.
I thought you could, but I mean, there traditionally is an app, but it's honestly, it's mainly for navigating physically around Las Vegas and everything.
Yeah.
Well, but I think what Viper's saying is, he'd like to be able to. You have to have, like, if you're going to do it on your phone, you have to have like an ICS or like an iCal kind of link that will put it in there.
And Andrew's right. The CES app is usually pretty terrible. I mean, it's good for some navigation here and there. But I remember my first year at CES, I said, yeah, put me on the networking list. Oh my God, the notification is just like crazy. You know when you first turn on an Android after having it off for a few months or whatever? Like all day.
Okay. I don't care if the app is terrible. I just need to be able to put the meetings and things in my phone calendar, and I can't do that because there's no way for me to do it.
Yeah, I just have the reminder thing on the side there when I'm logged in. I haven't seen any calendar integration like that, but I agree with you, Viper. Yeah.
I have to admit though, as somebody who has the former director of a conference for 10 years, the app is a highly important part of conference going these days.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So I just want to point out that DePoets is from Buffalo, but now he doesn't live in Los Angeles. He lives in Beverly Hills.
The ultimate glow up, bro. That's the ultimate come up. I respect that.
Bam.
He got out of the cold weather and the snow into the tropics of LA.
Yeah, it's like
that's like a sitcom show title right there. From Buffalo to Beverly Hills, the Adventures of DePoets.
There were the Beverly Hill. There was a sitcom, The Beverly Hillbillies.
That was a good show.
It was a good show. It was a good show.
Yeah.
I used to love to go swimming in the cement pond.
Stop it.
I love the intro song, like the whole story of how they got there. Granny shoots the ground and up comes a bubbling crude.
Oil, that is.
Black gold.
Texas tea. All the kids are like, what? Hey, transition, because we're at the hour and a half thing.
Yes.
You know what's starting? I think it's this week. It's supposed to be the 14th. And I saw some rumblings on Twitter. I guess people that had early access to the first few episodes. WandaVision.
Yeah.
So Scarlet Witch, Wanda from MCU.
It's Wanda Maximoff.
And then you got Vision.
Yes.
And I've tried doing as much reading as I can on the back end, trying to figure out what this is. And the one consistent thing I kept on reading from everybody's early reviews, non-spoiler reviews, is it's weird. Like, when does this take place? Because Vision died during not Endgame, the one before that was Infinity War.
Yeah.
Right? And he didn't come back. So I don't understand when this takes place or anything. But
it's the multiverse, bitch.
So I guess the first 2 or 3 episodes are supposed to become available as of the 14th Disney Plus, and then it'll be like a weekly thing, right?
Yep.
Which I'm actually kind of happy about, because sitting down and binging Cobra Kai over 3 days was exhausting. But I did it because I didn't want to get spoiled. So are you guys interested in this at all? Like, what do you guys know about it? I mean, I don't understand what's going on.
I don't either.
Yeah. Like, are you excited for it at all? Like, do you have any interest? Like, I really don't.
I have minor interest, but I'm much like you, I don't know what the hell they're doing with this.
Go ahead.
When I was a kid in the mid '80s, Vision Scarlet Witch was a thing. Like they had their own comic for a while, and there was all kinds of different. It reminds me a lot of like what like a 1985-ish kind of comic book. It looks like they're doing a lot of different like genre switching, but also like time switching, because you see in the ads there's like in the 50s they're doing the Dick Van Dyke thing, and then
they're like in the Brady Bunch kind of setting, and then
I
right?
love that Vision's costume is like period.
Or the from the comics, and also her too. Her like she had the, but I think they were celebrating Halloween or something like that.
Not a chance, Andrew. Not a damn chance. You got me once, you're not giving me twice. You could keep that servant crap. Ugh. No,
what is that? I never even heard of it.
It's a show on Apple TV Plus. It's terrible.
Okay. I started watching Servant when it came out. I got through to the end of episode 1, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Oh, Jason, you want to know the painful thing? I thought I had that same thought, but I watched the whole season and I had the same question.
So I recently watched like 2 more episodes.
Oh God, I'm so sorry, Jason.
And it's like it's the worst kind of thing. Like the premise of it, interesting. The characters, completely despicable, deplorable, uninteresting. In fact, I want to punch them in the face.
Okay.
Right? It's like snooty, upper class white people dealing with problems in the most annoying way possible. And then the other upper class white people enabling them to do so. And then suddenly weird shit happens.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I was interested in episode 1 until the very end when I was like, that just nope.
My problem is that I never knew what the hell was going on. I mean, obviously there was the premise about the baby and things like that, and then they brought a fake baby on them. But after they got through the whole season, it never really explained what the hell was happening or why it was happening. I was just confused. I'm still confused. I'm like, nope, y'all gonna have season 2. I'm gonna watch Dickinson because that came out last week. Yeah, I still need to watch that too.
See, I really liked I really like Lauren Ambrose.
What's that?
She's the female lead
in Servant.
In Servant, yeah. So she was in 6 Feet Under, and she played like the younger FBI agent that was sort of like taking the play, like was the counterpart of like Scully in the newer X-Files episodes. Anyway, those newer X-Files episodes were terrible, so we don't have to talk about that. But yeah, every time I see it pass by me on Apple TV, I'm like, maybe it gets good, but then I don't know.
Oh, Andrew, I don't care if it got rave review. We know that somebody critics have no idea what the hell they're talking about, Andrew. But you know what, Andrew? I'm gonna let you watch it, and then you let me know how you like it. Maybe I might consider.
I have a feeling that
kind of like how you guys saved me some money with Wonder Woman. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
you guys saved me $35. Thank you.
Definitely.
It's a sad commentary though, because like you would think that if you're a comic book pop culture fan, right, and a new Wonder Woman movie comes out, I mean, you're going to see it no matter what.
That was my plan originally too. I was excited,
but yeah,
and then everybody crapped on it.
I mean, it was a total fucking piece of turd.
I mean, I don't normally listen to. I mean, the reviews and everything were kind of like up and down, mostly up for the most part. I think those people are just trying to appease and make sure they still have early access. But then I started seeing a lot of people that I trust and listen to, like you guys. For the most part, I trust and listen to you guys for the most part.
If you want, you've been warned. I'm warning you, it's terrible.
And then I started seeing other people that and it just, if everybody was kept on, and then there was a couple of people like, you should give it a chance. No. My wallet does not want to give you a chance for $35. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, I would feel better about getting pizza from the place down the street that has cockroaches.
Ew.
I mean, it's only $35 Canadian though.
You're trying to make fun of our money? It's colorful. Come on.
Wow.
I mean, that's worth what $5 in the United States?
Stop it.
And, did you get a chance to watch the original season of Dickinson on Apple TV Plus?
No, I think I told you why I won't watch it.
Maybe, but I don't remember. Enlighten me.
As like I mean, I got an MFA in creative writing. I taught literature, etc., etc.
Okay.
Stuff like that based on historic characters
Oh,
always pisses me off.
I remember now. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay. So this is where I'm going to use the exact line. This one you should give a chance. It's good.
Oh. Okay. I keep remembering that you said it was good.
It's good.
And I do like Haley Steinfeld. Although I wish I could watch Haley Steinfeld in Pitch Perfect movies for like the rest of my life.
Was she the one that did the Bumblebee movie?
Yes.
I like the Bumblebee movie.
Yes, I did.
That was a good movie. It was a fun movie. Yeah.
I liked it because she was in it.
I liked it because she was in it too. I didn't know who she was, but I liked it.
She just has a nice energy to her on the screen.
Well, I like it because they kind of sort of rebooted the live action Transformers through that movie in a way, right? It was kind of a soft.
Are you sure
reboot.
they rebooted or they just booted?
No. It was definitely a soft reboot because of the characters that were there and everything like that. So,
yeah, I don't know if we need that.
I think we do because, I mean, Michael Bay's Transformers were, I mean, whatever, but I mean, come on, man, that's not Optimus Prime.
Okay. So I just remember the conversation we had to start the podcast. So I got to ask Zach a question. Given how you feel about where you are in the tech space, are you going to cover the Samsung Unpacked event this week, or are you just going to let that fly by? Because I'm curious.
No, I'm going to still do my live stream on Thursday because I mean, we pretty much know everything's going to come out. We have a good idea what's going to be revealed. Samsung has pretty much give away all the hints, even through their direct advertising and this and that. We know what's been filed with the FCC. We know what's going to be da-da-da-da. But what I'm interested in mostly is how they're going to market and present all this. Are they going to gloss over certain things? How are they going to present the whole no charger in the box thing? I want to see how they're going to spin things because that's what I'm interested in, and that's what I'm interested in presenting to.
So you're
my
interested
audience
in how they're not going to look like hypocrites.
Well, yeah, I mean, I want to see how they're going to
try and make it so.
Well, I want to see how they're going to present things and whatnot, and I want to see what the final pricing is like. I mean, I get excited for any phone release, but I am a Samsung fan. I'm not going to hide it. I mean, I've had going back to the Galaxy S, I think the Galaxy S6 Plus Edge is what it was called.
Yeah, you're going to get these things sent to you, aren't you?
Well, I don't know yet.
Oh,
I do want to take it before we get.
Let me rephrase that. I can't answer that question right now.
All right, Marquez. Okay.
No, you gotta take a page from the Andrew Edwards book, and you gotta say, "Well, I've been in meetings."
Listen. Here,
I've been talking to people behind the scenes.
Do you want a hint? Here.
Okay. Well played, Zach. Well played.
Before we get deep into Samsung talk, which I do want to get into a little bit here, David Kassman, welcome to the podcast.
Oh my God, Andrew!
David wants to know.
Shot fired on the podcast.
Yeah, we all know that, or at least I know this. Because I know I wasn't invited. Yeah. But David wanted to know what the Apple event info was. And basically, at this point, there have been a lot of things speculated. The furthest afield being that Apple is going to start, announce tomorrow that they're going to start administering the COVID vaccine.
No,
in Apple stores.
Stop it.
Somebody actually said that, though.
So who cares? Someone else also said on the internet that they were God. Come on.
Get it out loud.
Stop it.
But then, more likely, it's going to be something about security tied into CES or something about Apple Car, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two more likely things.
I think they're going to further double down on their whole slapping Facebook in the face.
Oh, Andrew, thank you for allowing me to use the button. It's been a while.
Jeez.
We need the iPod Classic 8th Gen. I agree, man. Put out these AirPods Max. It costs $500. You'll also give us a Lightning to 3.5 millimeter cable. Just give me a 3.5 to 3.5 with an iPod attached to it. That's what I want. That's what I want.
I thought you were past the whole headphone jack now that you got your glorious AirPods Max that make water.
As I said before,
they're like Jesus.
The AirPods Max are in the box, in the pile of stuff that needs to get sent back.
Don't let Teresa see. Okay, they almost said Teresa. Don't let Teresa see you do that.
Well, yeah, she said she might stop in and like annoy us this evening, but I don't think she did. I didn't see a comment. Yeah, or I ignored my wife when she did throw a comment in, and
no, I would have seen her in the comments though.
Yeah.
I don't. She hasn't shown up. I don't think so.
Yeah. Oh wait, Bob says Greg and Travis are here.
They're always here.
Neither. Maybe they might be lurking, but I haven't seen them.
I don't think they show up anymore.
I bet you John Prosser's here.
Yeah, I don't know about that guy.
John, it's not too late to run, man. I'm just kidding.
To run for president?
No. Never mind.
Yeah. I mean, how many times do we have to cancel Greg anyway?
You can't cancel Greg. He's uncancelable.
I thought we were done this.
Although he did start beef with the Xbox, and they all won't cancel him. He almost got canceled by the video game community. They were after him, man.
Oh, did he go? What did Greg say about the Xbox?
I have an admission to make.
Have you been playing?
You haven't played it.
I haven't played a single game on the Xbox yet.
You know, I rushed to sign up and download Warzone, all 120 gigabytes onto my PlayStation. I got signed up with them. I got ready to I did the training so I could go play with Jason. Jason's hasn't even powered the damn thing on yet.
Normally, this is the part where I berate you, but I'm not even mad with you. But I haven't touched any of my content for probably, I don't think, 2 weeks now because I'm busy trying to put out content. So I understand why you haven't played.
My kid's been playing more than I have.
Yeah. I'm. See, if I have an appointment to play, then I show up.
Mm-hmm.
We almost made an appointment, but yet, so I mean, really, what I usually do is I send a text to my friend Curtis. Curtis says, like, yeah, I'll play something, and then we play. But most of the time, recently, it's been like the later evening, like around 10 o'clock when I finally have time to play, and then I'm like tired.
Although you have headsets you need to test, and I believe you have the Astro 850 Gen 4, which work amazingly with the Series X.
I did have the Astros.
Oh, come on.
Oh no.
And
You sold them?
Yeah, I did.
Oh man.
You know what I've been using for headphones?
40s. What?
I've been using these are older. They're not even available anymore. But I've been using my plugged in my what do you call them? Anchor Soundcore Space NCs.
Oh.
I've been plugging those in. Even though there's no microphone on, there's a mic on the actual controller.
Right.
And I turn the noise canceling. It's pretty wild. There's no delay or anything like that. It's awesome.
That's a good one. He said Jason hasn't played yet because he doesn't want to use the battery from his TV remote.
Yeah, what I saw people complaining about like how Xbox controllers use batteries. Like, so what?
Yes, it's been the norm since the original Xbox.
Like, how is this a thing?
I mean, see, the PlayStation plugs in and charges.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Xbox takes AA batteries.
Always.
Okay.
Always has.
It always has.
So what?
Yeah.
You can buy.
Yes, which I do.
You can buy battery packs for them.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, I don't. Is that really an issue? Do people really complain about that?
I mean, it's January. People are.
I think they're only doing it now just for the console war aspect. But like we just said, Xbox has been coming with controllers with batteries since the original Xbox. This is not new.
Yeah.
I have no idea how long these PlayStation controllers are supposed to last. I mean, I know that you get around 15 hours. I can tell you that my controller definitely drains more playing things like Astro's Playroom, because that game uses like almost everything that controller can use.
Yep.
As opposed to say Mortal Kombat 11, which is it only makes sounds once in a while. It only does certain types of vibrations, for example. For now, right.
That's what she said.
Speaking of controllers, did you guys see this? This is on. I saw this on Mobile Syrups. There it is, right here. I'm gonna bring this up. I didn't. Oh, by the way, Jason, I didn't see the option for automatically sharing.
I didn't see it either.
Sharing screens, but apparently it's supposed to be there. But check this out. I mean, I know this is a podcast, but look at this. Xbox unveils new Canadian flag-esque red and white controller.
See,
that's cool.
I saw this advertised.
That's cool.
Also, there must have been a press release. I saw this image too, but the one that I saw said nothing about Canada.
Well, let's go to the actual article here. But I mean, I just look at that. That's pretty.
You're reading a thing called Mobile Syrup that has a Canadian maple leaf in it.
Well, hold on here. Microsoft unveiled a new Xbox wireless Pulse Red controller that will release in Canada on February 9th. So yeah, I guess it's a Canadian exclusive.
See,
it's cool.
I gotta get me the Elite 2. See,
yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I have the Elite 1.
I love the Elite 2.
And the Elite 1 is probably the best controller that I have right now. I used the Astro CR40 for a while. Too big. The triggers underneath are like these big fat, like just big fat levers that I hit all the time. Like, man, playing Warzone without that thing set up for Warzone, I was like jumping out of airplanes, jumping out of helicopters, like accidentally because I hit the paddle. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Let's talk about Samsung. Let's talk about Samsung and the event that they're having the day after tomorrow.
Thursday, 14th. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the day after tomorrow.
Yeah. Unpacked.
It's
their first Unpacked of the year. Yeah.
I made a video about this yesterday.
No.
I did.
Yeah.
Did you further
dig your hole? Before we get into the weeds, though, Jason.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Obviously, the Unpacked event is tomorrow. But how the hell has the Galaxy Buds Pro gotten into so many hands already and hasn't even been announced yet?
I can tell you that there's somebody or somebody's selling them on Facebook Marketplace, and if you know where to go, you can get them, and that's it. That's all. That's what I know.
How? They haven't even been announced yet.
Yeah, well,
my suspicion is that the stock of those earbuds are either at a distribution place and it may have been taken, or they may already be at the retail level and some retailers already got them taken.
It could have something to do with what Andrew's saying right here, which is that according to this, the new Galaxy S21 phones are out in China, but the rest of the world gets them in hand February.
That makes sense.
So probably people are like selling them from China over to the US.
Remember the sorry, I was about to say Nexus Pixel phone that was in hands for like months before.
The Russian black market.
Yes, similar. I'm thinking it's a similar thing. There's been a break in the chain. Someone got a hold of, and away they go. Right.
Yeah, and God knows I have been wanting to get my hands on those headphones for
Andrew said what he was talking about with the controller.
The red controller. I got you. I just started a whole new like YouTube rumor.
Yes, you did.
Hey, did you hear that the Samsung phones are already out in China?
All right, what are you about to say about the Buds?
I couldn't give two shits. I'm just saying, like, okay, if the AirPods Pro had like a brother that had been dropped on his head, then we would have the Buds, whatever they are.
I kind of feel the same way, but just because the Galaxy Buds Plus are pretty good, the Galaxy Buds Live are good, except they're they have features that are advertised that they don't really have, but we won't get into that. But then you have the Galaxy Buds Pro, which are AirPods Pro for Samsung with active noise cancellation. I can only hope that the active noise cancellation in the Buds Pro is 500 times better than what they have in the Buds Live, which it should be because of the whole different design, but still.
Yeah. It's going to be, I mean, people seem to like me doing headphone videos, so I'll review them.
You know what to do.
Yeah. But you know what people don't seem to like anymore? Me making Samsung videos.
No, people don't like it when you have an opinion.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
That's what it is.
Shout out to our boy Digital Slang though. He got his hands on the Galaxy Buds Pro first and put out the video and got 134,000 views and counting.
Nice.
And then our friend El Jefe did one as well. So
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I made a video yesterday stating only that the Galaxy S21 could be a disaster. Those are the exact words that I used.
Yes, they are.
And that wasn't hyperbole. That wasn't clickbait. I mean, they could be. It could be a disaster.
Shout out to El Jefe. His Bud Pro video got 161,000 views. Damn. Yeah,
Uh-oh.
bro. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
El Jefe. Damn. Woo.
See, Franklin, here's the thing.
There's still time, Jason. Get your own.
Here's the thing. I might not have tried them yet, but I also haven't tried like prairie oysters, but I know they would be terrible.
I like prairie oysters.
Maybe they would be good. I don't know. Deep fried, maybe. What are they, like cow balls, right? Cow
Basically.
testes.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
testicles. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
It's a redneck thing.
man, I'm from 100%. Well, I don't know if you can call me a redneck, you call me a hillbilly. Both are appropriate. 100% stock. I still ain't eating no cow testicles.
It's all about the preparation.
Okay, this is what I'll say about your video title.
Okay.
You knew what you were doing. You stoked the fire.
Here's the thing. Almost all I haven't looked at all the comments, but all the comments that I looked at, people were like, "Yeah, Samsung sucks." Seriously. And like, but yet, like, it's number 9 out of 10 of my last 10, just sitting there doing nothing.
Because you're bashing them.
I did not bash them at all.
No, you didn't. But the title kind of gives.
No,
that.
it was the statement of an opinion based on what factual information we have right now.
We don't actually.
I love how you teacher explained that to me.
But we don't know if any of this information that we have now is 100%. So as I stated during my stream on Sunday, I pulled information from a summary of rumored and supposed to be close to information from a Pocket Now article, which is what I referred to. We don't know until everything's announced. Right?
I did my sourcing. I went to 3 different places, pulled information from 3 different stories, trying to collate and see if like one rumor carried over to the next so that I could have the most accurate information. I didn't say in my video that it was like 100%, but as we know, I mean, the phones are going to be what we already know they're going to be.
I don't know, but word on the street is that my man Zach talking tech and pulling his Marquette Brownlee right now. So yeah, I don't know.
So anyway, if what we think we know is actually what we know.
Oh, that was great.
I don't even understand what just happened.
You didn't see the finger?
I don't know what that means.
Oh, come on, Jason. Come on.
No,
You gotta read those nonverbal cues, Jason. You gotta read the nonverbal cues.
His nose was itching?
Right. Okay. Right. That's what it was.
I don't know.
Cucumber.
So anyway, my point was, if the pricing is what, I mean, we've heard this, like Ace says, we've heard that it's going to start at $1,000. The information that I found most often was $850. I saw $850 as a starting point for the S21.
So the reason people are saying 1,000 is because they're doing the conversion from the supposed leaked information, the supposed leaked pricing from using UK pounds, right? And
Well,
when you do the conversion, that's what it's supposed to be working out to. But I think they're shooting themselves in the foot if that's where they're starting. They really are.
see, the thing is, like, I would only say they could come out at 1,000 because that's what they did last year. And so yeah, they it sounds like they're going to make a little bit of a move in order to like try and sell some of these phones and make it less expensive. So $850 for the redheaded stepchild of S21s. Okay, good. S21 Plus, S21 Ultra. So if you want to buy a Samsung flagship phone in the S series this year, you need only purchase the Ultra.
Pretty much.
Because otherwise, you've got plastic backs. No, I did read that the S21 Ultra Plus is going to have a glass back.
The Plus and the Ultra are supposed to be glass. Are supposed to be. Yes. Just the entry level is plastic.
And not glass.
Yeah.
Gorilla Glass Victus. Which is glass.
It's a hell of a lot stronger than the iPhone 12. That's a fact.
Who's talking about the iPhone 12?
Shot fired, baby! Shot fired!
Just drawing a comparison. Just telling you.
Oh, you got an iPhone 12 there?
I don't.
Do I know? I'm just going off of the information. How everybody's complaining how the moment they take it out of their box, they're scratching with their fingernails.
No.
I've never done that with a Samsung. Are you kidding me?
No. What happens when you scrape the back of the frosted glass on the iPhone is some of your fingernail comes off.
No, I'm not talking about that.
And then you can wipe it away.
I'm talking about people that had the we saw with the people with the unboxings, and then as soon as they opened it, they had a scratch or whatnot because they put it down.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Because the glass is it's not more scratch proof this year on the iPhone 12s. Again, we're getting off topic. It's because it's more quote unquote drop proof. Apparently, it's softer.
Yeah, the front glass. Yeah, the front
that's what I'm talking.
Is different. The back glass. I mean, but I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
I've dropped this phone a bunch of times.
Yeah,
and still good.
to bring it to a head, all I would say is that the last S Series Unpacked event was an absolute paint watching dry affair. But the Note 20 Unpacked event was a lot better. So I hope Samsung learned their lesson and don't do what they did to us last January, February, because holy Lord.
It'll be better. Yeah.
I went to the well, I didn't go to the Note 20. I went to the Note 10. I went to the Note 10 Plus.
Oh, okay, you're right here.
Event. And the best way I could describe it is your kid puts on a circus at their school and you have to go. That's it. That's what it was.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I got a question about the non-Samsung. Are we done talking about Samsung? I got a question.
No. I'm not done.
Okay.
I'm not done.
All right.
I seriously think, like, and this is why I said disaster. I just want to explain myself. 1080p phones with plastic back, with no SD card, I mean, they've basically said, like, okay, we're going to sell them the A71 this year, and we're going to call it an S phone. Nobody's going to know the difference. That's basically what they're saying. Right? We're going to sell them the cheap phone for twice as much as the cheap phone costs, and everybody's going to be cool with it because it's got an S in front of it. I don't doubt that the S20 Ultra, 21 Ultra will be a flagship worthy phone. The other two, though, I mean, was the Note 20 a great success? Not the Note 20 Ultra, the Note 20.
Not the Note 20. No, I know. I can tell you from what I know from carriers, people that I know that have carrier stores, they never moved a single one. It was all Ultras.
Yeah. Eventually, they started giving them away. Yeah. And so I don't know what Samsung is looking at that tells them that they need to make more flagship phones with fewer features. But they're going in the wrong direction. I think that it could possibly be that Samsung doesn't want you to buy the S phones this year. Samsung doesn't want you to buy them. They're putting out crap so that you don't buy it, so that then when you're a Samsung Knight or whatever you are, those folding phones come out, and you're like, well, there's no Note this year, and those S phones are crap, so I guess I have to buy this folding phone. I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to force the fold. Trying to force the fold.
That sounds like a hell of a video title there, Jason.
Well, I mean, I see, again, that's the kind of video that, like, I enjoy making because intellectually it, like, you know, it stimulates my mind to think about these things.
Make that video.
when I make that video, it feels like everybody's just like, "Oh, you're such a hater. You're such a." It's like,
Well, that's not really hating. No, you're saying that what Samsung's trying to do is
It's an opinion piece.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It
There's
basically
nothing wrong with
it's almost like planned obsolescence in a way, but not quite.
Well, I mean, it's
Andrew says it knocks out of the park right here. Like the people that are buying these 1,500, 2,000 are maybe like you and I and Viper, tech enthusiasts, nerds, whatever. But we don't represent the market.
Well, see,
so
but that's
to
the thing.
to force people into folding, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Good lord.
Well,
Samsung loves
yes, I know. I mean, Samsung doesn't have any feet left.
seriously.
I mean, they have riddled their feet with holes. But I mean, they're in a wheelchair rolling onto the Unpacked stage, just saying, you know what? We made these phones crappy, so you buy our folding phones.
Speaking of the Unpacked stage, I need Samsung to free DJ Cole, please. Thank you very much. That TJ Moon dude is probably the sight and paint drying. Get him out of there.
I want to go back really quick in terms of the
Free DJ.
because I'm looking at possibly getting the Ultra, again depending on how pricing and whatnot works out between my carrier and whatnot, because I'm still looking at getting the S20 FE because I really loved using it. But again, with this new line coming out, we might see a further slash in price, which is always good.
It's
Paying less
got
money
a
is good.
Snapdragon 888 chip in it.
What?
I was trying to like speak at my most nerdiest.
Yeah, you
No,
consider
It's
I
got
think
the Snapdragon 888. It's gonna be so fast. It already benchmarks slower than the iPhone 12.
Where about the specs?
Exactly.
Specs.
I think I hear what you're saying, Zach.
I didn't actually say it, but go on.
No. I mean, if you have something to say,
I was just gonna say, as long as the S21, the S21 Plus, so you're entering your mid-level, as long as the pricing, in my opinion, reflects what's in the build quality and what's being offered, I don't think there's any reason to crap all over them. But you're definitely going to have to compare to last year, compared to the FE models, and whatnot. That's a fair comparison because those are still on the market, and whatnot. But we'll see. Right?
well, here's the thing. I mean, I look at it historically as opposed to like, I look at the S line historically has been Samsung's bread and butter flagship for the most people phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the S phone was the one that you got until there was then the Plus, and now there's the Ultra and all this other stuff. And they're basically like they're trying to do the Apple upsell, but they're doing it in such a way that's like, okay, so we used to make Hondas, now we make Yugos, but we're going to charge a Honda price. And people, it's still an S phone. No, it's not an S phone. I mean, because the S phones used to be really good. And now, I mean, I'm just saying that historically, the S phone has been their flagship line. The Notes have been their showcase. At least the Notes were their showcase.
Mm-hmm.
But they have continuously over the past several years cannibalized all of their lines to the point where none of them are recognizable as anything.
And this strategy is no different what they've done in past years, because Samsung's strategy has always been to flood the market. So even when you look outside the Galaxy lines, Jason, I mean, you've got your J lines, the A line, and there's nothing wrong with those devices. I think you bought an A line.
They cost. I bought an A71, used it for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that phone at all.
Exactly.
But it's also priced at $500.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a whole lot that separates the S21 and the A71, except for potentially anywhere from $300 to $500.
Yeah,
of price.
And that's and to be perfectly honest, and maybe I think the majority of Samsung customers, I'm not talking about the knights, like the nerds.
Right.
The majority of those customers are not going to break it down by specs and whatnot, and that's something I enjoy doing for our audience and our communities, which is I'll take those phones literally side by side. Here are the differences, right?
Yeah.
Because honestly, I mean, for example, if you took the S20 FE, which I think we all agree was a great 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 thing that Samsung did last year. It's $699, even $599, depending on where you go. And
It's a great thing that Samsung did. This is where I get stuck.
Mhm.
The S20 FE has all the right specs. It's got the right price, but it came out 6-8 months after the phone that they price gouged you for. That the majority of Samsung's most loyal customers went out and bought with a camera that wasn't working
when you
correctly and never will.
Yeah, when you flood the market and everything like that, and you don't have the foresight to see what's going on, especially with the economics of the world and whatnot, this is going to happen, absolutely. But let's look at this in a broader sense. We see this all the time, comments in our chats, whatever, in our Viper, should I get this or should I get that? Jason, should I get this or should get that? And I think we all can agree with this statement. You should get what you need now, because if you keep on waiting, there's always going to be something quote unquote better.
Right? Oh yeah. And when we talk about better, the reality of the situation is
it's just how tech moves.
That a smartphone from 2017 is not in many ways appreciably different than a smartphone from 2021. The capabilities are the same. The differences that you would notice when using them are probably negligible, right? Negligible. So that's the game that they have taught us to play. Every year, new phone. Every year, different specs. Every year, it goes up on stage and it goes out into commercials, and it's the newest, bestest, next, And for a while, it was true. Like back in the old days, if it was 2010 and you bought the next year's Android phone, it was definitely going to be better.
Yeah, there was a leap. Now we're just seeing these incremental, which again will come down to on paper. Because for example, if I take the Ultra, for example, the S21 Ultra, and I put it up against the S20 FE, there better be significant jumps. And if there isn't, okay, now I'm looking at the software side of things. Is there something different that Samsung has done with their camera or whatnot, or how things are processed that's proven that it will be better than this or that, right? When I was sent both the the Note 20 Ultra and the S20 FE from Samsung, I enjoyed using them both, but I actually enjoyed using the FE more than the Note. There was just something about that flat panel and the way it felt, and it felt like a very powerful device without being enveloped in that powerful device cocoon, like a Note, if that makes sense.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It felt like this is really great what they've put in here, right?
Yeah, I don't know why I always want to put comparisons of phones in car metaphors, but I do, so I will.
It works.
So you buy the Note, it looks, acts, and feels like a Lexus, right?
Mm-hmm.
You buy the FE, and performance-wise, it might not be that different from a Lexus, but it comes in the shape of a Camry, right? So it's like, it's not quite as fancy, but if the Note 20 Ultra costs $1,350 and the FE costs $700, it's hard to argue for the Note 20 Ultra, unless you consciously make the decision to say, I like these phones, I like this phone, I'm going to get this phone for reasons. But we can no longer make the argument that like you should get this phone over this phone because this phone is better than that phone. It's almost impossible to make that argument anymore.
You literally can wait a week and there's going to be something better.
Yeah.
Right? There's going to be plenty of people out there that are going to say, well, the Xiaomi, I'm just using an example, is better than the S21 Ultra. Well, guess what? The Xiaomi whatever is not available in carrier stores. Samsung has a one-up on you. Has a one-up on that in the North America market.
Yeah.
Okay. So we also have to keep in remind ourselves as well, the majority of customers that are buying these devices, whether they're iPhones or LGs or Samsungs, whatever, the majority of people that are driving the market are buying them through or leasing them through carrier. So they're signing an agreement, whatever it is. They pay so much per month on top of their bill. They might trade in a device so it costs them half as much. Things like that. And that's something I'm looking at, because I've told my carrier, yeah, I'd like to get the FE or the S21 Ultra, but I'm not going to pay. I don't want to pay any more per month, right? Or I don't want my bill to go up so much, and that's something, for example, I'm trying to work out on my end, and I think a lot of people do that as well, right?
Well, the shell game that Samsung plays with prices is, I mean, Apple at least is like, oh, you can trade your phone in and get the new phone, and so you got this Apple trade-in program. Samsung, I mean, they do that, but they also do this thing where it's like, if you have last year's phone, we'll give you $800 for it. It's not worth $800. They're just trying to incentivize you into the new model.
Yeah.
So that they can bump their sales numbers. Because
it's necessary, especially now with so much competition, and it's also necessary because of because of last year, because of economics, because of the way the world has changed and people's finances and whatnot with the pandemic. People will take advantage of that. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, no, I know, and
they should, if they're happy being with Verizon, and they're happy with trading in their device and only paying a quarter of the amount, half the amount, then why not? I mean, if you're happy with your plan and nothing changes with your monthly this and that, or maybe it does a little bit, again, that's a decision the person's gonna have to make.
See,
I what is the percentage, like, honestly, over the course of a year, how many people are actually buying devices fully outright outside of the tech niche? Possibly it's got to be super low. It can't be that high.
Well, no, because they figured out how to move phones without actually having to have anybody pay any money, basically. And see, that's like, so to me, this is sort of like the subprime mortgage market, right? I mean, we can boost these numbers as high as we want, but we're not actually selling anything. We're just trading phone for phone every year over with these sort of fantasy trade-in values. And so Samsung, I mean, I'm sure it works for them in the short term. Is it going to work for them in the long term? And as Vincent says here, until people stop buying, companies will still be selling them. So the companies are predicated on this whole idea that each year you sell a new phone, right? Now, each year you don't buy a new TV, but I guarantee you, if TV companies decided to start doing what Samsung does with their phones, then you would buy a new TV every year. In fact, as much as we like TCL, Hisense, Vizio, those kinds of those companies, they're basically doing what Samsung does with their TVs. So, like, I bought this Hisense TV behind me, 55 inches, QLED, or it's the same technology as QLED, but not Samsung owns QLED. It's the same technology, though.
Yeah.
The same TV would cost over $2,000 in a Samsung. This Vizio cost $550, right? But the way that they make that work, well, for one thing, when you sell something for that much money and then you see somebody else selling it for that much less, you know that the profit margin is huge, right? Samsung is selling its name on their TVs, and it works. But I think it's valuable for people to know that no matter what, you buy the Hisense TV, it might not be as good from soup to nuts as an LG or a Vizio or a Samsung or Sony, right? But the idea is you get this year's TV technology in a TV that isn't intended to have a 15-year lifespan, so that you turn around in 2 or 3 years and you get yourself another brand new TV. So they're selling over a shorter period of time. Whereas, like, it used to be, you buy a Sony TV, you don't buy a TV for 20 years. But technology doubling speed has become so fast that there's not really, like, if you want to get into that game, you've got to sell at the lower price to get into the game. Samsung at this point is sort of telling us how much their phones are really worth when they do this. Like, we'll give you $700 for last year's phone, so you take this year's phone and it's only $400. They're telling us how much those phones are actually worth and how much, if you want to stop and think about it, we're actually overpaying for it. But at the end of the day, the price tag doesn't matter, because you're still paying the same $40. But when the market shifts and something else starts to happen, and we don't know what the impact of 2020 is going to be on the tech market yet. We don't know if people will come back in droves to start buying tech at the rate that they were before, or if something else is going to happen, or if there's something new on the horizon that'll change the whole market over again. So Samsung is making the most money as possible, making it look as good as possible over the short run, because at the end of the day, in the long run, it doesn't matter.
The way we've been kind of conditioned as consumers in the electronics market, I'm going to say generally in the electronics, not just cell phone market, especially here in North America, I can't speak to other countries, obviously, is that, okay, I'm going to give an example here. My friend Jason, I have another friend named Jason. I have several friends named Jason. We'll call him Big J. That's what we used to call him back in the day, until he lost a bunch of weight. But anyway, Big J. Big J wants to get a new cell phone, okay? He was asking me back in November, like, what should I get? And I was like, dude, you should get the S20 FE. You like Samsung phones, right? He went to his carrier. His carrier said, well, we can't do it yet unless you pay off this, and It was going to cost him a lot of money to get it, right? Even though it's a good price. Now, if he waits till February, so one more month, he can get that phone, or even one of the new S21 phones. And he's also liked those phones before. So look at this from Big J's point of view. Because now he wants to get the S21 phones. Why? Because it's the new shiny, right? Yeah. Okay, and we also fall for this too, as all of us as tech. I'm gonna say fall for this, but this is what the game's like. Samsung knows that there's always going to be new customers every month, every 60 days, every 90 days, which is why they flood the market, so that they always have the new shiny there in the store. Apple's, for example, completely different way of marketing it's a yearly thing. Right, and they know that those customers will wait a year. Or, for example, there's apparently supposed to be an SE3 coming out later on this year, so that works there as well. So again, it's a marketing tactic and how they do things. And us as reviewers, in my opinion, and people that do the commentary stuff like us, I think it's up to us, and people are looking to us, consumers are looking to us, and our audience is looking to us to say, okay, Zach, is the S21 Ultra actually better, quote unquote, on paper than the FE? Could I save some money? Well, here's the realities, right? Yeah. And so that's valuable to people, and it's good that we do that. And again, everything you just spoke about right now in terms of subprime mortgages and this and how that's good for people to know, because that gets people to look past the shiny marketing.
Right.
And here's the realities of it. Now, of course, there's going to be that segment of customers, fanboys, whatever, that are going to get it no matter what.
Right.
Obviously, our content is not meant for those people.
Yeah. Although again, this is sort of like, it was the same thing when I ran for office, the same thing when I was teaching. Like, the people who blindly follow are the ones that I so much more desperately want to reach, because if we're talking about a cohort of thoughtful, educated, curious viewers for the YouTube channel, that's great as a core hub for the channel. Mm-hmm. But in some ways, like, the way that I look at what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to, like, shout from the mountaintop that you can go buy the brand new phone every year for the rest of your life. It doesn't make you or that phone better than what you were before. It's because, people have done this with clothes, with cars, with all kinds of things. Now it's, personal tech is another way to sort of puff yourself up in terms of your perceived self-worth, right? Mm-hmm. And I just know that it's an aspect of 21st century culture that has become so pervasive that we don't even recognize it anymore. You know, it's like if you went back 40 years and you said to your parents, like, hey, there's a new version of this phone out that's hanging on the wall. We should get the new version of this phone. It's a little bit louder. It rings a little bit louder. It's got a longer cord. Your parents would be like, what in the F are you talking about? There is nothing wrong with this phone. This phone will last for the rest of our lives if we want, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as companies get better with marketing, get better at segmenting the markets, then they can, they prey on people's diminished sense of self-worth. In this, all the shiny stuff. Like if you get the new shiny phone that just came out, and you're gonna go to work, and you're gonna plop that down on the break room table, everybody's like, "Ooh, is that the new shiny phone?" And you'd be like, "Yeah, I just picked it up." And then everybody would be like, "Oh, I'm not worthy." And it might sound silly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I know that happens in my brain.
Yeah.
It happens in everybody's brain. You know, it's like wearing the Rolex used to be. You come in with the new $1,500 phone and you plop it down on the lunch counter. People are like, "Oh, that guy's got this. That phone's expensive," right? So, but American culture specifically has trained. I mean, we've been trained to do this since the end of World War II. I have a whole spiel about why we buy what we buy.
We did this a few weeks ago. I remember we got deep into this. Do we want to go down this road?
I don't know, Viper. You're quiet.
We're at 2.5. So,
well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
America before World War II and America after World War II could be no different, no more. I mean, they might as well be like black and white. You know, that's how different the country was. When the United States was able to bring to bear the capabilities that we have to mass produce, in this case, equipment for the war effort, and that made us more competitive in the war market, ultimately winning the war. That put us in a weird position because that was like the apex of American capability, right? Mm-hmm. We were like, look at what we did. We came in late. We kicked your ass. Now we're going home, right? Yeah. But the thing is, two things happened between 1945 and 1955. The companies that were making all those airplanes, tanks, bombs, guns, et cetera, all those places were like, yeah, we were doing great during the war. And now we don't have a war. So what are we going to sell? Washing machines, prefab housing, refrigerators, cars, air conditioners. And so the American dream, as it was first stated, that sort of manifest destiny, come to our shores and become the best version of yourself that you possibly can be, was replaced in that post-war era by advertising and by the need for these huge companies to be able to continue to make money continuously. It was changed from, become your best self, reach your farthest shore, right? To the value of your worth is calculable by the number of these things that you have, how much they cost, and now in the later era, in the post-industrial, like consumer only era, how many times you can buy it. And that's where we are. We've been trained for almost 70, 75 years. We have been trained to buy stuff because that's what makes us have perceived value. And it's become so ingrained in how we calculate that self-worth that we don't even know that we do it anymore. So like today when I was on Twitter and I was talking about, how I sometimes struggle with the idea of being a part of this machine, because it's like, well, I know what's happening behind the curtain. I know like how the sausage is made. So every time I'm just kind of like, I catch myself in situations like CES is like, on the front lines of the buy more shit war. And it makes me uncomfortable. And it's like, you could be utilitarian about it and say, well, everybody's got to have a job. My job is this. But for better or worse, I've never been able to just like keep my head down and do the thing that I do because that's the responsible thing to do. I'm a selfish prick. I want everybody to like think their way out of this fever dream that we've been in for more than a half century. And the only way that happens is if we get out of this cycle. And I mean, the cycle has now been co-opted in our institutions. So the short-term sell is more important than the long-term value. We've seen it in the presidential races, right? We've seen it all over the place in all of our institutions. The short-term sell, make America great again. Perfect example. That short-term sell doesn't have to pay off in a long-run outcome, because once you sell it, you've got a 4-year contract, right? And hopefully things fall your way and you're able to make the same deal again. And I'm using that as an example because that's one of the most recent, most effective examples, right? I mean, one thing that Donald Trump could do really well was sell things, particularly himself, and know what it is that motivates people to buy. And he was able to leverage that skill a lot. And other people have been able to do it too, but I always look at the Clinton Trump thing as like Hillary Clinton. If you asked anybody, even people who were like staunch supporters, like going to rallies, knocking on doors, say what was Hillary Clinton's campaign slogan? Nobody knows. I mean, the closest you can come to is "I'm with Hillary," which is so antiquated when you compare it to "Make America Great Again." Because I mean, honestly, you go to West Virginia and say that, it means one thing. You go to Chicago and say that, it means another thing. You go to Texas, say that, it means another thing. There you have a target audience, but you don't have to fill in the blank because they're doing it for you. And that's how we have learned to operate. I mean, when I think about what I do, the compulsive buying, just because like I self-selected talking about tech on YouTube because I wanted to buy tech. And even better, I wanted people to send me tech for free. So I didn't have to buy it. But once you do that for a bunch of years, it's kind of like, okay. I know a lot of people don't think about it. But I sit back and I think about it and I say, like, if all I'm doing is trying to chase bigger and better things to get given to me, then what's the point in that? Like what good am I really trying to do? And ultimately that bears itself out in, I'm sure a lot of people look at it as like me shooting myself in the foot, making a video that would sell a lot of AirPods Max, and then coming back a week later and making 2 videos that shoot it down, right? But I don't know. I don't know. When I get thinking about it, it makes me really like frustrated and kind of scared because like people aren't educated enough in general anymore to be able to think critically. They wait for the media to tell them something. And then once the media says it, or, you know, a demagogue or somebody else says it and it proliferates and they hear it a bunch of times, then it must be the truth. They can't think it through for themselves. And that is 100% on the United States public education system. Have you ever thought about like why? Have you ever thought about why we send kids to school based on their age as opposed to their abilities? I mean, for some kids, first grade is too fast. For other kids, they're already in third grade level.
Well, I skipped my son ahead a year.
Sometimes, yeah, and sometimes they do that. Yeah. But the truth of the matter is, if you're putting things in batches and moving those batches along the assembly line until they reach the end of the line and become a product, like that's the best way to do it. Take the freshest batch, put it in the first slot, and then keep doing it. So it's not really about education. The public education system in the United States was set up in such a way, based on a Germanic education model, that this was late 19th century. At the time, the industrialized world needed about 80% workers, 15 or 19% managers, and then 1 to 2% of owners, right? So how smart do the workers have to be? Smart enough to work the machines, but not so smart that they ask any questions, because that becomes then complicated. The managers just have to be able to like tend their flock, and then the owners, you know, everything flows up, and the owners, you know, are living in an entirely different reality. After 100 years of educating children that way, it's no wonder that we have a bunch of people out there who can be told anything. And as long as they hear it enough, they'll believe it. And it seems like people feel better about themselves when they unquestionably follow what everyone else is doing. I mean, it's part of human nature.
It's a
herd mentality. You know, you get safety in numbers. Yeah. But I mean, the human being, because we have this thing in our head and this thing on our hands, we have the capabilities for individual thought. But yet our baser instincts still lead us to accept the norm without question. So that was the long version of why education sucks, which is why I became a teacher. And, you know, the way people interact with tech and the way the techosphere talks to people about tech is kind of the same thing. And so therefore, that's why I talk about tech the way I talk about tech. You know, maybe I just end up pissing people off, but I also want to like piss people off enough to actually think for themselves. Maybe here's me, Don Quixote, riding my horse toward the windmill of critical thinking. But
most people here won't even know who that is.
Don Quixote is a famous character from a book written several hundred years ago. You've probably seen him in a cartoon. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Try and get my daughter to read classic books, and it feels like I'm trying to feed her boiled cabbage. And she reads all the time, but she's like, "Well, that's old." Like, yeah, and people still read it time after time after time, year after year after year, century after century. So there must be something. Nobody's doing it just because they feel like they have to. I mean, maybe some people do, but like The Great Gatsby on January 1st entered the public domain, which means that its ability to be copywritten ended. Now, if I could get everybody in the United States to download a free copy of The Great Gatsby and read it, it'd be a whole different world. I guarantee it.
I forgot what this podcast is about.
All right. So, appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. I think we're going to wrap it up here. We've been here for 2 hours and 40 minutes, much longer than we anticipated, but I'm pretty sure Jason will cut like the first hour out and put it on audio, so we should be good. We will see you guys next Tuesday night on the Painfully Honest Tech podcast. Somebody play the music so we can get out of here.
Roll it.
Oh,
That's you.
I thought you had it.
No, I thought I had it too, and then I didn't have it. So anyway, here we are. Once again, the end. You know, people, sometimes in the tech world, you gotta take your sushi and your boiled cabbage and just eat it all, because it's good for you. Great Gatsby is now in public domain. Go read it somewhere. Your life will be changed. Anyway, once again, thank you to my co-hosts, Zach of Zach Talks Tech and Viper, the man about tech. If you haven't subscribed to these gentlemen, then you definitely need to. You definitely need to check out Vipe Drive, Viper's podcast. And Zach is live streaming like it's nobody's business these days. So there's good stuff out there. And my name is Jason. I don't know if you guys knew that. But once again, you've been here for an extra long episode of the Painfully Honest Tech Podcast. The podcast so honest, it encourages you to read books. Until the next time, we are